Hey everybody, welcome to stream. Hold on just a moment while I make sure we're all good and that we're live. But I think we're good. Okay, yeah. Like I said, welcome to stream everybody. Hope you're all doing good. Today's been a bit of an awkward day for me. I'm sorry things are not going to be perfect right now. I'm going to try my best to make this an enjoyable stream, hopefully better than yesterday. Right now I'm not feeling amazing. I'm having some slight allergy problems that are bothering me, and I'm going to put it lightly, I had a bit of a rough start to my day. I had a headache that was bothering me for quite a good chunk of my day, so I'm still sitting here trying to do my best not to just feel like dog shit right now, so I'll try my best to make the stream good. I can't promise I'm going to be super talkative like this, though. Hey Ember, hey C's, good to see you guys, welcome to stream. I'm starting a little earlier than, well, actually not that early, I'm starting early on to get this done. Today's going to be similar to yesterday, except I'm going to do 3 hours instead of 2 hours. I think I've got more that I want to talk about than yesterday, so hopefully things will be a little better. I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, let's just get started. So, how are you guys doing? Hopefully good. Like I said earlier, I've had a really bad start to my day. Just been feeling like total crap. And the headaches like slowly died down, thankfully, so it's not been too bad, but yeah. Let's see. I had a really, really weird dream that I remember from last night. Like, it's I don't remember like a whole lot of the details. I don't remember everything. I remembered quite a bit from like the dream, but there's some details that are missing. I can divulge into that in just a second or two. That's good. I mean, it's good to hear that. Things have not been going great for me. Also, I think I said yesterday I wasn't sure if I was going to stream today or not, and because we are, there will be no stream tomorrow. The plan was that I think I've told you guys already, I have a lot of problems I need to work on. Like, there's a lot of things in my apartment that aren't like as great as I'd like, things I need to work on a personal level, and like one was like I've never really properly learned how to do laundry too well because of neglect in that area from my parents, and on top of that, just like I guess I never really tried to do it too many times, and I'm getting a little bit of help from somebody with my laundry tomorrow while I try to get used to using the laundry area in like the apartments. I've not used it before, so I'm not going to be home for part of the day, and I have a feeling it might take a while to get all my stuff done, so by the time I'm through with it, there's a good possibility I won't be able to stream, just for the record. I was thinking this might happen today, and I'm kind of glad it's not until tomorrow. I was kind of like thinking about a lot of things, and I was worried I might forget about stuff I wanted to talk about. I don't know, I need to work on that area of my streaming, but still. Let's see. Going to Florida in May, that's pretty cool sounding. I haven't been to, like, travel very much at all. I mean, I used to go out with, like, my parents when I was younger for, like, they'd do, like, make us do livestock shows and stuff, but I never really liked that, and that wasn't really the same as, like, I didn't really enjoy showing animals. That felt like it was just kind of, it wasn't a fun experience for me in general. Like, it wasn't terrible, but if I wanted to travel, I'd rather do traveling that I actually am interested in rather than being dragged along on a stupid trip that I don't want to go on. By the way, what are some of your guys' like favorite places to visit, or like favorite, like, say, vacation spots, just like places you might have been to like when you were younger? I'm just curious to hear. Everybody's got their own vacation spots, at least that they remember. I don't travel, like, practically any now. Like, I just haven't done it after I've gotten older, I guess, because I don't like to get out a whole lot, so I don't find myself actually traveling any. Not unless it's been planned out for quite some time, and I don't have a lot of money to do it anyway. I do remember one traveling place, like, I've been to that I like quite a bit. Like, back when I was, I don't know, how old, maybe 10, 12, or it might have been closer to like 13, we went out to like, I don't know if it was Dallas or what, or maybe Dallas isn't the right place, but like, there's a beach area, and imagine in the city, it's called like Corpus Christi. There's like a really good beach there. We went to that place a few times, and that place has some really nice beaches. I enjoyed visiting there when I got to go down there as a kid. I'd always like look around at the beach, and I remember I did stuff like collecting like seashells and stuff, just like I even think I picked up like a sea star, what are they called? Those things off the ground. And I've liked doing that kind of stuff as a kid. I don't remember very many of my trips to like beaches or pools or anything. Didn't exactly help that I couldn't swim any. Let's see, I'm gonna just ignore this, we'll just keep playing. Oh man, it's been a long time. Only vacation I can think of that I've been on, like, as an adult is when well, if it's even considerable vacation, but like I took a trip out to go down to LA to go to E3, and that's the only place I've really gone for myself as like an adult. I haven't really decided on any big vacation spots that I wanted to go to. Let me see. The actual vacation. Huh. You guys just never go on vacation? Not like it's a big deal, just curious. It's not really something that bothers me too much. I could probably name quite a few places I've been to traveling. Like, I guess it won't hurt. Some stuff I've seen over the years. I don't remember all of them, but like off the top of my head, I think I've told you guys for at least 2 years, back in, I guess, like 2013, 2014, I'm not sure exactly when, I lived in San Antonio for like 2 years, and that was a hell of an experience. Didn't really enjoy it, but I mean, it wasn't the worst time ever. It just wasn't that great. I'm not big with I'm good with big cities though, so it's not surprising I didn't like it very much. We also, like, we went to Dallas a few times. I remember, like, for these shows I was talking about, these livestock shows, I think, to like show pigs and stuff, and it's like I don't really care too much about Dallas. I don't hate it. I don't really love it. It's not a great city. It's probably one of the more tolerable, like, big cities in Texas, frankly, and one that I'm not exactly upset with going to visit. Most of my trips out have just been to, like, places in the state. I mean, that's not surprising. When you live in Texas your whole life, it's going to be natural that like, a lot of your trips can easily just be Texas trips if you don't go anywhere, because you got a fucking really big-ass state with a lot of cities in it. The other, like, immediate thing that comes to mind, I know I've been to others, is, like, I've been to Houston before, like, at least 2 or 3 times, maybe more if I'm not remembering. I can tell you guys right now, from, like, all of my memories from visiting Houston, I did not like Houston. I remembered it being really big, really uncomfortable to be in. Like, I remember, like, when I was watching some of the news with, like, my parents at some points, I'd see, like, they'd talk about shit going on in the city, and, like, I think the crime rate in Houston was somewhat bad. It is just a really kind of city to be in. I didn't find myself having a good time when I was there. It was really, really lame. Other places I can remember going to would be, like, Arkansas, and there was one other, if I could remember. At least I thought. I might be misremembering. I've been to quite a few, though, and I just don't remember all the names of them, because I think I just forgot about some of them. Okay, let's change the topic, though. I had a really bizarre dream earlier. I was going to mention this, like, just a little bit ago, and I got really sidetracked. You guys ever have, like, those dreams where you just have a really weird dream for, like, seemingly no reason? Your brain just gives you this dream and you don't understand anything that's going on in the dream, and it's just, like all, like, a mess. Like, basically, like, you even dream it, there's really no telling why you're dreaming it or how you're dreaming it or what the reason is. Like, you just, at least in my experience, this happens to me a lot, actually. I don't know why. I dream not the most, I feel like, or if I do, I don't experience, like, what feels like a lot of my dreams, and I remember any dreams it's always the weird shit. I can never remember just, like, ordinary dreams that I've had. Not even, like... Maybe, like, every now and then, I guess. I was gonna say not even once, but I do remember a few good dreams. They're just not very common for me. I think I remember nightmares more, but they're not... It's the kind of things I like to talk about either, and they're not always awful, but they're not great either. Ugh. Dreams are fucking weird. But yeah, I had a strange one last night that I don't remember, like, everything about. The details were weird as shit and still a little bit fuzzy, but I can tell you guys a little bit about it. So, this dream is bizarre. I hope I can, like, find the words to describe it. I went to sleep, thought I was gonna have a normal night's sleep, and I dreamed up some weird shit about, like... I don't know quite the details. I think it was something political. Why? I have no fucking clue, because I don't give a shit about politics, and I frankly don't like the idea of, like, thinking about politics. So why this ended up in my dreams, I am completely uncertain as to what the fuck caused this. Also, I don't know why my teammates are willingly going for a dragon type when we could be going for an electric type. Whatever, though. But yeah, it was something to do with, like, Trump, and I don't remember who the other person was. It was some argument thing going on. They were, like, debating and, like, getting in these heated arguments, like, a whole lot in this dream. Which is weird, because this is the exact shit I hate about politics. I don't want to hear, like, any of the arguing and, like, any of the dumb bullshit, or, like, why one side's better than the other. Like, I want to get to, like, the important part. If I have to listen to politics, and I don't even like listening to them in general, and I just remember this being like this, except it's even more, like, cartoonish feeling than you'd see out of, like, an actual, like, election, because it was like they were, like, getting, like, super cutthroat with each other, and there was, like, they were, like, it's like something about, like, I remember, like, in the dream, not only were they fighting, but they got to this point where they started talking about, like, it killing each other or some shit over this. Like, it was like they were fighting over something really weird and probably unimportant. It was the oddest dream. Like, a lot of weird dreams I have, it feels like there might be, like, maybe a message underlying and something in the dream that's actually mattering, but, like, this dream, there was none of that. It was just this nonsense that made absolutely no sense to my brain. I couldn't, like, comprehend what the fuck was going on in it, and I remember just waking up from it confused, thinking, like, what the fuck did I just dream? I wish I could remember the details more clearly. It was weird. I mean, really weird. Hang on a second. My throat's acting up. Still there, everybody? Just checking. Couldn't tell if you were there or not, C's. It's not like it's a big deal. Anyway, we can talk about some other stuff. I'd talk about some dreams more, but I don't know if I can think of a whole lot of them I can talk about right now. I think I've mentioned some on the stream, but I don't remember. There's actually a game I remembered that I wanted to talk about that I would like to stream at some point that's, like, kind of relates to this matter a little bit, actually. So, I don't know if anybody's heard of this. I think I might have brought this up on the stream, but whether or not I actually brought this up is a little bit of a blur right now. It was a game on PS1, and it's called LSD Dream Emulator, not to be confused with the drug. I don't know if the creator of this game was intentionally trying to make, like, a reference to this drug when they were creating the game, but it's an interesting game. Okay, cool. Just making sure. Thought maybe you guys would have something to add. It's okay if not, though. I'm just wondering. It's fun to sometimes discuss this kind of stuff, but I can understand. I mean, I barely remember my dreams, even if I do like to discuss them. But yeah, this person made this game, and I think this, like, excuse me, they didn't, like, go into, like, a lot of details about this game,
I think it was like relatively unknown for quite some time. But like I remember like little bits like where there was an interview with the developer, and supposedly this game was like a game where they actually cataloged their dreams they'd had. Like it was like from an entire year, and they cataloged all of them in like a dream journal, and they developed it into a game with like trying to like sort of make like their dreams in this video game. It's really, really interesting. Probably one of the weirdest and most interesting video games I've ever seen. It's for the PlayStation 1, if I didn't already say that. I believe it had like a time-based function on it too, actually. Like it was, I think it's sort of like how Animal Crossing works. Like I don't recall if they lock it to where it's like you had to do like everything on like a day-to-day basis, where it was like you could only play like one part of the game per day. I don't think that's how it works, because I remember the gameplay to a decent degree. Even though I never played it, I've watched like a lot of YouTube videos of when I first found it, and basically you're like walking around these dreams. They're all weird. I don't think you can like determine like what you run into on like any given day. I think it's just like completely random what kind of stuff you'll bump into. There's like a bunch of different set dreams in the game that you can end up encountering, and like different stuff from each dream that'll be there. But the idea is you like look around it and you interact with the stuff around you. I think like bumping into certain stuff could like trigger certain effects in the games, and you can transition to new areas when you like bump into things, or if you don't bump into anything, like you can still like, I think like certain animals or whatever, like certain objects in the world cause you to like, what's the right word? They cause like special effects to happen in the dream too. It's really, really weird and really, really interesting, and since it's based on dreams, a lot of it's really weird, and there's a lot of stuff that's like almost nonsensical that doesn't make any sense that you'll find in the game, and naturally you want to check on it. I think the goal is to just keep exploring the dream without actually like ending it and checking stuff out, and it does end after a little bit, just like a real dream. The thing is, like, I think you have like a bit of control over this. I think they end after like 30 to 45 minutes of like in real life time, so you just keep looking around and like trying to avoid letting things end. And this is where things get really, really weird and really, really interesting. There's this character that pops up in the game, like very, very different from the rest of the characters. It doesn't seem like he's like something from a dream. It's this guy in this like black trench coat. I think he has like a hat on him or something like that. He's like pure black, and he's like follows you around in certain dreams. He's really creepy, and like you have to avoid him when you run into him. Like the whole game kind of like it changes mood when he appears, and you're supposed to stay away from him. It doesn't have like a really bad effect when you bump into him, but like if you end up letting him encounter you and like bump into you, it'll end up like ending the dream immediately. I forget there's like a description from the like creator who actually like went into detail about this guy's like purpose in the game. I feel like I remember there was like a very specific role this character was given in the game. It's really, really interesting to look into. Like, there's some weird stuff in there, but it is a fascinating video game. Possibly like one of my favorite like games I've checked out that I've never played yet, and I want to play it sometime. Maybe play it on the stream. Oh, excuse me, give me a second. I got something on my foot right now, and it's kind of stinging. I think something just got stuck to it and hitting it in a really nasty spot. Ow. Okay, there. Where was I? Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a pretty decent game. Wait, what's going on? I can't really tell what that... It says to say, or it says to say archived. I can't really tell. One day, like I said, I want to come back to streaming. Like, I really, really do. I'd like to stream that game for you guys, though. Like, I'd maybe if I get things working right sometime soon, get my life back together. That's a very, very fascinating game. I'm trying to remember like some of the high points and interesting shit I've seen in the game. Like one of them I remember is like a giant baby head. I remember like seeing like a fucking doorway or something, like, or it wasn't a baby head. It was like a head, and it ends up like just being there, and if you don't see it, it'll fucking kind of jump scare you a little bit because it just comes out of nowhere. It's creepy. Another one was like, I think I remember like a thing where there's like lions and like some wild animals, and they'll like chase you if you're not careful, and excuse me, my throat. As a result of it, it's like they're actually like more scary than you'd think. Like they're loud, they roar, and they chase you and try to like kill you. It's a really creepy like setup for where they handle it. There's a whole bunch of things in the game. I could probably go on for a little while talking about like different things I remember looking at in the game. Hi there, see a few new people. I'm guessing you're asking about the game I was talking about. This is actually a game that's, I'd say it's fairly old, yeah. It's called LSD Dream Emulator. You can look it up, it's a PS1 game. I don't think it's like super well known, but it does have a bit of a cult following because of like bigger YouTubers getting it like some popularity. Also, I can tell you this is going to happen already when we ignored an electric type Pokemon. Not surprised, I was the only one who survived against Kyogre, whatever. Wait, what's going on? Got your group on a Minecraft server, man. Are you playing Minecraft right now? I'm not really sure. I mean, I enjoy playing Minecraft every now and then. Pretty decent game. Not my favorite. It's decent, though. Enjoy when I pick it up and play it for some time. I wish I was better at it so I could play it more. I never finished a run like I've said before. One day I'll finish it. While we were talking about that LSD Dream Emulator game, like, honestly, I kind of hope one day somebody makes a similar game to it. It's very, very unique and very, very special, and I think some people have, like, made some stuff where they've tried to, like, replicate the game a little bit, but nobody's really came too close to it. Like, there's been a lot of attempts to make a game that's similar, though, like, quite a few. I think they're mostly like fan game attempts, though. I've never seen like a big name company try to actually like make a sequel or remake. I don't even know if the person who made it still makes video games or not. I mean, I would imagine so. It's some Japanese woman, I think, actually. Like, I would imagine I don't know if there's like an actual trademark on it. I imagine if you were to ask them, they'd probably be fine with that. I think it's the kind of game that's intentionally made for interpretation so that it like encourages more people to make their own similar ideas to it. Let's see, where were we? I enjoy talking about these kind of games, though. There are a lot of really, really fascinating and weird, but also interesting games out there. Wasn't what I was going to talk, like, specifically about today. There's quite a few things I had, like, in mind I wanted to talk about, so we'll just go over whatever. If you have any games you want to bring up, though, and, like, feel free to. I'm more than happy to discuss whatever and just talk about games for some time. Oh, actually, I have some things to ask before we do switch topic, though. Just a few things relating to, like, Pokemon, I think it was. Anybody, like, this is a small thing. Anybody got, like, a spare, I think they're the Rusted Sword. Yeah, Rusted Sword and Rusted Shield. I'm looking to get one because I'm actually, like, planning to do a little bit of experimenting on my alternate profile on Pokemon Shield to, like, mess around a little bit and see if I can try some stuff with it. Like, I want to see how many Pokemon I can catch on that, if any, like, breaking the sequence a little bit. I know you can go straight into Crown Tundra and you can get your hands on, like, legendaries through the dens, or get your hands on high-level Pokemon just by going there and you can just lose the fight against Peony and get it straight into Dynamax Adventures to get high-level Pokemon that'll work with you, so I was gonna do that a little bit while I, like, used my profile for some other stuff. Only asking about the sword because I wanted to try and see if I could get one, because I've been looking at the GTS on Pokemon Home, and there's some people who are offering, like, Zacian, which is the one Pokemon I would like to grab on my game that I haven't got yet, because it just make it easier for using it for certain stuff, especially if I end up using more than one profile at any point, so I can have, like, option to get a shiny charm quicker. I don't have him, and I would like to get it out of the way, but I'd also like to get the sword if I'm gonna bother good at Zacian. Not like it matters that much to me. I've been thinking about that. I might actually do Regidrago, like, before. I was gonna do Regi Pokemon, like, the next shiny hunt. I'm actually do Regidrago on, like, an alt first, just to get it out of the way, and only problem is I need to go out and get, like, a shiny charm and unlock all the stuff on my alternate profile. You guys ever started, like, a run on a game just to, like, mess around and, like, test stuff? I find that to be pretty fun to just play a game and, like, goof around, or even not even goof around, but, like, try new things, see what kind of cool stuff you can accomplish if you just, like, see what you've got at your disposal. Like, I remember one YouTuber I watched, I don't know how long ago, I'm still watching stuff every now and then, but, like, I think his name's like Game Champ 9000 or something. I might be getting the name wrong. He did, like, these videos where it's, like, challenge stuff, and one of them was, like, beat Breath of the Wild without climbing. He also did one in Mario Odyssey where it was, like, no jumping. Really, really neat stuff. I like playing games and, like, doing these kind of challenges every now and then. I'm not, like, the type of person who loves doing challenge runs, but they can be really, really fun and really, really good. And plus, it gives you, like, a reason to go back to a game you enjoyed just to see if you can beat it with, like, a different circumstance in mind. I think I actually tried one of these, like, Mario Odyssey at one point, and it wasn't a no jump run. I think I did, like, no coin attempt, which is actually really fucking hard. There's like, I've nearly had it, and then there was like one coin I didn't know how to avoid in the game, and I ended up giving up on it. Unfortunate, too. Let's see. I'm trying to think on some really good ones. I mean, I guess Nuzlockes are a natural thing to talk about when you come to, like, this point of discussion, because a lot of people do Nuzlocke runs in games. By the way, for anybody here who's, like, watching, how many of you guys have attempted at least one Nuzlocke before in Pokemon? Hey, Zachary. Good to see you. Welcome to stream. Glad you can make it. I think I've attempted, like, 2 of them, actually, and all of my time. Well, I say 2. I'm not actually sure if that's right, because I remember I was going to try one in, like, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire when I picked up a copy of Alpha Sapphire, but I couldn't even, like, get to the point where I was, like, actually interested in starting the game, and I kind of just, like, gave up really quickly without actually getting to the point where I would get any progress into the Nuzlocke, so that didn't really work out. There might have been another time I was forgetting about, like, one attempt I remember from a Nuzlocke where I actually tried was, I think I did Pokemon, was it, I don't remember if it was Crystal or Silver or what, and I played through that, doing that for a while. Cool. Beat Age of Calamity. It's pretty good. I have yet to get my copy yet, so I'm not really looking to dive into, like, big spoiler territory or, like, too much of the story. I know, like, a bit of, like, the fact the game's, like, not in the same timeline as Breath of the Wild, which is really weird to me, but whatever. I'm gonna see that myself in, like, another month or so anyway, and then I can get to you guys with my thoughts on it when I actually get to play it and see how I think about it. Let me see. I'm gonna do on why Nuzlocke. Good luck with it. I don't know how that'll go. I think the reason I quit the Nuzlocke wasn't because I couldn't do it. I got pretty far in it. I think I got, like, towards the 8th gym. Like, I think I gave up over, like, a lot of Pokemon and like dying off over time, and it wasn't just it's a big deal. Like there were a lot of like stupid deaths that didn't need to happen. Like I think I lost the Togepi to like a critical hit at one point, and I remember that I also lost like a Voltorb. Or not lost Voltorb, but I lost like a Pokemon to a Voltorb exploding, some shit like that, and it's like can feel a little demoralizing losing the Pokemon you're trying to raise to like obstacles like that instead of losing to something feels like it should have been an actual worry. Like seeing an explosion death kind of sucks, to be frank. Let me see. Guardian changed the timeline and made it a new one. Yeah, I kind of thought that might have been the case. Currently planning on playing Omega Ruby next. Hope you are enjoying your playthroughs of your stuff anyway. Regardless of what you're playing, I mean, I haven't played any other Pokemon games in a while. I've been thinking about doing more in Let's Go, but I told myself I'd like to stream more of my Let's Go playtime so I can actually go through and do my shiny hunts on stream with you guys, except maybe a select few that I'm going to avoid doing. I don't think I'm going to do too many things like, say, I'm going to do like some Alolan Pokemon shiny hunts, but I don't want to do like repeats and stuff like that. I'd rather just do one of those kind of things per species at most, and then end up stopping with that rather than doing like everything through the whole line, because it takes like fucking forever and it's not the most fun to deal with. Cool. I remember Gen 3 really well. It's weird that for some reason I didn't really like the remake a whole lot. I don't know what it was. I remember turning it on, not really enjoying like playing the remake a whole lot, and then I just couldn't continue. I think eventually I ended up like trading my copy into GameStop, and yeah, I don't know. Something just didn't click with me with that remake. It's not like it was bad. I just didn't find myself having a lot of fun with it. Had the same exact issue with like Pokemon Black and White 2. Like I loved Pokemon Black and White, but when it came to Pokemon Black and White 2, for some reason I couldn't get like past the beginning of the game, and it's not like I'm certain I would have not liked it. I feel like there was something more to it. I'm not sure why, but I just didn't feel like I could commit to a playthrough of that when I tried to play it the first time. One of these days, because I feel like I want to play Black and White 2, because I like Pokemon Black and White, and it's a storyline that I found myself invested in, so naturally I'd like to see like how it evolved and not just miss out on the rest of the storyline. Alright. Sucks you won't be able to chat in the chat as much, but I mean, I understand. Hope you end up enjoying your time in Minecraft. I'll try to keep things semi-entertaining and somewhat interesting, but I can't really say for sure how things are going to go. I have a lot of things I had been, like, thinking about since yesterday that I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit, so hopefully things will be okay. I just don't know. We'll see. What time are we at right now? About 30 minutes. Okay, just checking. I think I said I'd go for 3 hours. I'm going to try to hold on to that and try to keep going regardless. Let's see, where were we? Oh, there was something I was meaning to bring up, actually. I was going to talk about, like, space and aliens and stuff, because I want to talk about this. It's just a thing I had been thinking about that thought it'd be, like, a good, like, conversation point that I remembered yesterday. You guys ever, like, had, like, I'll shake X's is this way, so, like, if you guys ever thought what it'd be like to travel into space, it's always something, like, at least from what I remember, like, it's always been an interesting topic and a thing that's, like something I think about every now and then. When I was younger, I remember, like, being intrigued by space travel. It's always, like, a really, really weird topic, but it's interesting because we know, like, next to nothing about space, even when we have, like, all this knowledge we've learned over the years, like, about the moon and, like, various things about Mars, all these different things we've learned, but we still have only seen, like, a fraction of, like, what's actually out there. I remember like how like reading about like space when I was younger in like school and reading about like first man on the moon. I can't remember his first name. I remember his last name was Armstrong. What was it? Was that Neil Armstrong? I might be misremembering that. Let me see what Google tells me. Yeah, it was Neil Armstrong. I thought that was the case. I believe he was the first person to walk on the moon. Let's see, what year was that, actually, if it says anything? I don't see a specific... Yeah, I don't see a date for it. I just see his date of birth. Oh, wait. Let's see. Unless I'm reading this wrong. It says July 20th, 1969. That's a long time ago, and... Wow. That's actually impressive to think about. Really impressive to think about. That's what, roughly 50 years, I think. I'm not sure about the math when I just think that out of my head, because it takes a little bit to like process all of it, but I think, yeah, that's roughly 50 years ago. I still remember like people like talking about like years later going like, oh, the moon landing was a hoax, there's no way we'd land on the moon. It's like, are you serious? Like, why is it every time something big happens to humanity, whether it's good or bad, there's always people trying to dispel it as like a fucking hoax? It doesn't matter what it is. There will always be these people who want to fucking go like, oh no, it's not real, it didn't happen. Fucking, it happened with the Holocaust, which is fucking awful and something that shouldn't be forgotten, just to be like a reminder that like, we should never have something this cruel and fucked up happen again in human history. That's something that should be remembered so we can avoid it. But also, like, it happens with good things too, like the moon landing, and I think there's some others that I can't remember that are like fairly positive. I can't remember like anything right off the top of my head, but I do remember like some bad things like 9/11. People still like make up all these crazy conspiracy theories. It's funny to me how, like, people, like, jump through these hoops and, like, do all the stupid, crazy shit and, like, believe in these fucking conspiracy theories that, like, doesn't make a lot of sense. But when it comes to fucking believing, like, something like, say, a 9/11 happened, they'll believe some crazy fucking story that somebody tells them, and just because they feel like there's, like, maybe some connecting the dots and they like listen to it. It's like, why is it so hard to believe in like a fucking terrorist attack happening? I don't know why people have this kind of mentality. Those are usually like a very few and far between though. I don't know, honestly. I don't see any reason to believe it's fake, frankly, but I don't really know a lot about the moon landing in general, so I mean, couldn't really say much about it. I don't feel like it's fake because I feel like it'd be pointless to fake it, but I also don't know the details of it well enough to really contest or bother like making any points about it. If it was fake, it'd be interesting to find out regardless though, if it was. I don't know. That's a big thing I remember like reading about in school. I'm pretty sure it was like a really big time at that point. Like, I don't know the details, but I can imagine that they probably were really rushing space technology. I remember reading about how, like, everybody's in a rush to keep, like, upgrading their technology more and more to be, like, first ones to have a moon landing or trying to get to explore more of outer space. And then I remember, like, reading about how, yeah, America got the first person on the moon. Must have been an interesting point. I don't know. I don't know if I can say I feel like technology was that bad. I mean, we don't have a lot to say for sure, but like I mean, spaceships have been around for some time. Even if you discount like first moon landing, I'm pretty sure like they've only been upgraded more and more in their like ability to be, what's the right word? I guess their capacity, their ability to hold people, that kind of thing. Like, they've been upgraded over time to be better and better and work better. I feel like the idea of a very, very like primitive spaceship. I don't remember exactly what was used. I have to look the details up, but like I feel like an early spaceship launching with like one person towards the moon wouldn't be impossible back in the day. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know everything about it. I just remember hearing about a lot of accidents of like NASA, I think, actually. I remember back in the day, like I was watching a program as a kid. I recall watching something they were talking about, like, and I don't know if it was like a moon launching or what they were doing. They had like a space shuttle they were launching, I think, and they had a whole bunch of people that were supposed to be on the shuttle, and like, and something went horribly wrong with the shuttle, and like, a whole bunch of the crew died while they were trying to like launch it onto the moon. Something went terribly wrong with like the launch. It was actually kind of mortifying to like listen to it and hear about these people's deaths and like how their families are like grieving over this. Like, that's the kind of thing that makes me wonder if maybe there's a possibility the moon landing would have been fake. Like, they still hadn't completely like ironed out like traveling to space and trying to make spaceships work properly. It kind of makes me wonder how things would have worked out so well if we had problems just launching a space shuttle into space and like seeing people die because of a really, really bad mishap getting the ship out there. It's like, I don't know. It's not like it's simple technology though. I'm sure spaceships are probably like some of the most dangerous things to work around, so I imagine those kind of accidents aren't exactly the kind of thing that could be super uncommon either, so I don't know. It's an interesting thing to talk about. It's kind of exciting, though, to talk about outer space, just like all the different things we already know, and then just like speculating about like possibilities in like the future. There's a lot we don't know, and there's a lot we do know, and it's just all exciting to me. I don't know. I'm curious, you guys believe like aliens are real? I'm curious to hear like opinions on this matter. I'm personally like, at least in the stance of aliens, I don't know about like other supernatural stuff. I believe that like I don't know if there's any aliens out there, but I also don't necessarily believe that aliens aren't real. Like, I believe that we haven't had any aliens probably land on the Earth. Haven't had any like contact with aliens. I think we've probably had like nothing happen. The more than likely, if there's aliens out there that if they've just not tried to contact, or maybe they're not even intelligent enough. Everyone who talks about aliens always talks about like, oh, there's no way aliens would be dumber than us. They'd always have to be like smarter than us, and they would have tried to make contact with us. Like, why is that somehow a requirement people believe? Like, how is it that hard to believe there's aliens out there that aren't intelligent? An alien wouldn't even constitute some intelligent life form, as far as I can tell. Like, look at our planet. Like, actually, when you think about this, like, we're incredibly lucky. We got put in the right spot, born in, like, the right species to be fairly intelligent, and, like, put on one of the only well-known, like, hospitable planets to live on. Like, we got just the right circumstances. We also have, like, a plethora of wildlife that lives on Earth, like so many different species of animals. Like, excuse me, any number of the animals that live on Earth could be classified, or should they be like different inhabitants of Earth. Excuse me if I'm not getting this like completely clear what I'm trying to say, but like there's all these animals living on the planet. Yeah, we're humans, the natural like most prominent species, but like frankly, even an animal from another planet would count as an alien. Not necessarily just in, like, something like us. Who's to say maybe there aren't, like, any other intelligent life forms out there that are the same, like, brain capacity that we have. I'm not saying it's impossible that there's not, like, other intelligent life out there, but, like, I wouldn't be that surprised if we have, like, possible aliens we haven't discovered that are, like, closer to animals. Closer to things we haven't discovered on other planets that live around and don't have, like, that kind of brain power stuff that's really, really dumb and doesn't like think about this kind of thing. Kind of like how bugs don't really think about more than like their immediate surroundings. I think there was something interesting like about like Mars research that came up like a few years ago. Like they've been launching drones on it, obviously, and like trying to like explore the planet. I remember watching TV and like watching some stuff about like the Mars, like what do they call them? I can't remember what they named them, the Mars rover or whatever, that kind of thing. Like I remember reading about how they had it like moving around the planet and they were like exploring it for like water and stuff, or like any way that it could have been hospitable. And like one thing they dug up on there supposedly was like, I think it was like a fossilized thing or like bones or whatever or something. It wasn't like confirmed this was like an actual thing that was alive at any point, but it was something that looked like it was like a weird looking like worm or whatever, possibly. Like maybe this was like an animal. They'd been like analyzing it and hadn't had any results on it, and it's really interesting. I don't recall hearing about anything else, but like there was this one thing that supposedly could have suggested that maybe there was some sort of life form that lived on Mars at one point, but now it's like all dead and there's nothing really there anymore. To be completely honest, I don't think there's even a remote chance that there's anything living in our galaxy that we haven't like found already. I mean, something on Earth maybe, that's a different talking point, but like we've had like attempts at exploration and trying to like find stuff on different planets for quite some time now. I'm pretty sure there's like a lot of survey tech that's already out in outer space to like find out these kind of things, and I think if there was something in the Milky Way that we hadn't found that lived here, we would have known about it by this point. I don't know. I would imagine it's very likely. It is really, really interesting to think about though when you like boil it all down, because our galaxy is so small. We live in the Milky Way, which is just one of many galaxies in the universe. So boundless. So many things out there on, like in the universe. I wonder if we'll ever, like, improve our space travel more. Kind of, it's both a scary thought and a cool thought. Like, I'd love to see outer space. Out of curiosity, here's something for you guys you want to answer. If not, it's not a big deal. If somebody offered you the chance to go out into outer space, would you take it or would you not? I'm curious to hear everyone's answer on this. For me, at least right now, I'm not really certain. I think in general, if I was like offered a chance to go out to outer space, I'd probably take it depending on like the circumstances. Like, it's an opportunity you don't really get like very often. The biggest like scare of like going out into outer space is that like apparently time and space is very different from how it functions on Earth. Like, I remember hearing stories about people who've gone out into outer space and they'd spend like a year out there and then they came back, and I think it's like 10 or 20 years when they came back to Earth. Like, I don't know if that's like exactly the right number. It was something along those lines. A lot of time passes between like space, when you're out in space, between like coming back to Earth. So yeah, you'd probably go back and come back and see some of your friends like aged significantly further than you, and you'd only experienced like a year. That's one thing that's kind of a scary thought. It's like going back and like nobody really remembers you. You're like, everybody's so different from the last time you saw them. But I feel like I'd like to if I had an opportunity, maybe. Just the idea of getting to like see all of them, see more space, see what's out there, see some of that stuff up close and in person. Even if it's not the most amazing experience, I imagine just getting to look around at space is probably an incredible experience all on its own. I can imagine anybody who's gone on to like the moon, it's probably unreal to set foot on the moon and stop to think about that you basically left the Earth and got to set foot on another object out in Earth. I couldn't even imagine what that would feel like. It's going to be a very, very interesting and probably bright day for humanity when we finally, like, get our space technology improved more and end up getting, like, spacecraft that can actually travel to, like, other planets. That's probably going to be a long time off, though. I couldn't imagine that being any time in, like, the near future. Maybe. Probably not, though. I wonder how we would even improve that. Like, I'm sure there's some way. Makes you think about, like, science fiction and stuff with, like, some of the, like, spacecraft that's shown in science fiction, or all these possible UFO sightings. That's another fun thing to talk about a little bit. Frankly, I don't know if I believe in any of the UFO sighting stories I've heard. There's some weird ones, some really weird ones that have, like, interesting points to talk about. A lot of them you can, like, find, like, stuff where it's, like, it's obviously fake. I remember hearing about stories, people thought they saw a UFO, and there's, like, stuff you can find, it's like, oh, no, there's this, like, some object that appeared in the distance, it's, like, just the right angle to look like it was something else. Funny, I think I saw, like, a website that specializes in this kind of shit where they, like, were selling, like, stuff like, I think it was, like, a fake flying saucer thing, like it was meant to look like a flying saucer when used in the air. Ugh. Actually, let's see. I'm trying to think on some stories if I can remember any. I remember one that I can talk about. It's always interesting when you get involved in, like, reading up on supposed alien or UFO stories, and oh my god, I can't believe our team here is fucking getting our ass kicked and we're on not even at the actual boss yet. There's no way we're gonna make it to Kyogre without fucking getting just completely fucking hammered and destroyed by the time we reach him. So I didn't, like, link this on Discord yet, have I? Give me a second before I continue with, like, talking about stuff. I do have one thing. Oh shit, I think I forgot to mute my... Oh shit, I didn't get the link right when I tried it. I remember one story I'll try to talk about really quick while we're doing this. This was... I don't know if this is like a documentary or not. I remember a story I heard, like... I don't know how many years ago, but I remember a story I heard about, like, I think it was a military thing. Like, they were, like, out exploring some forest or something. They came into this forest. Things were weird. Like, I remember, like... There being, like, some really unsettling shit going on. I thought I remembered something about, like, a fire or something. Maybe I'm wrong, but, like, basically, like, they woke up in, like, the middle of the night when they were, like, camping in this forest and, like, trying to stay for a night, I think it is. And they were hearing this weird noise. Oh, shit, I still forgot to mute, I think, unless I'm wrong. Okay, no, I actually did. Good, we're just making sure we get this link before I continue talking. But, yeah... it was interesting because they went out to explore this. There was some weird noise. And supposedly they came, like, face to face with, like, a UFO or something. The details aren't, like, super specific. Apparently, like, it's supposedly, like, all the survivors ended up getting kidnapped. Like, the idea was, like, they went to check it out. I remember, like, apparently they had all been, like, tried to contact, like, people from this like, group that had been here and couldn't get in contact with them. They went to, like, the forest the next day and they were all gone. Almost like they'd all been abducted with, like, no actual warning. It's, like, really, really fucking creepy. It's not... It, like, confirmed that it's actually aliens, and it... Who knows, it probably isn't. Maybe it is, but, like... It's one of these unexplained phenomenon that happened, and nobody has any idea what the fuck like, actually happened in this story. This is a giant mystery, and a really fucking creepy one at that. I swear I've heard of a few others, but I don't know why I can't remember any. I mean, there's some interesting material when you, like, jump through, like, stuff on the internet and, like, check out, like, alien stories, actually. There's a lot of people who claimed to have, like, had encounters with aliens or something happened, and, like, even though it's hard to, like, believe some of these, at the same time, some of them are, like, really, really well put together and kind of hard to deny. Like, I remember like seeing a story like by not a story like some people already like talk about like how they've been like abducted by aliens and like probing and like all these awful things that had happened to them and like different experiences they had, and like it's really really in depth. I think there's like a few books on this exact matter, and it's like, well, sometimes you don't want to believe this stuff, and it's like even if it doesn't sound real, it's like, I don't know, somebody's talking about this, they have like a really really a good description, like they're talking about their memory. It's kind of hard to like just write it off as like, well, this is just bullshit, it never happened. It's like, I don't know, if they're making a super descriptive and like super accurate sounding story of something they remember from like an alien abduction, then it's a little harder to just laugh it off and be like, yeah, they're fucking crazy, and try to pretend like it's not actually real. It makes you really think about it. I don't know. It's like, I feel like I'm like, one thing I've looked at when I've like seen this stuff, or if I like go on a thing and like hear people talk about aliens, one thing I remember is like everybody seems to have a different experience of like what they supposedly would have encountered with the aliens. It's not always, is you'll see like very similar stories. I mean, I don't know. It's interesting because we haven't ever had any confirmation of aliens. We've had no way to like prove they actually exist. The only way I could see this like lining up would be if we did have aliens that have like reached the Earth at some point, but we have like more than one alien that's been able to actually reach us before. But surely if there are aliens, we would have like seen at least one group of aliens, right? I don't know. Just some food for thought. One day I feel like there's something out there. Maybe we will discover aliens. It'd be interesting. I'd like if there are intelligent life forms out there, like to see them for myself and like meet them if they're like capable of having an interesting conversation. Although, who knows? You know, that's a scary thought actually with aliens. They could be completely different from us, and like, if we do run into aliens, who's to say they won't fucking end up being very hostile and potentially try to harm us? Oh, man. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to talk about at the moment. I mean, I don't mind talking more alien stuff, because this stuff is always a treat to talk about, in my opinion. It's just a fascinating topic, even if it is... I'm a little rambling a little bit. I apologize if I'm rambling too much. I just find this type of subject to be a good, like, what's the right word for it? I'm not sure what you would call it. Like a good point to, like, pick your brain and, like, actually sit down and think about it. While we're on the topic of aliens, anybody remember last year, or at least I think it was last year, that whole thing that was going on where it was like that whole event happened to all these people who were like, they made this like event to go out and like raid Area 51. That was a fucking weird time, honestly, and like probably one of the weirder things I feel like I've like witnessed on the internet. Just something that was bizarre. I'm surprised it went so well. It was just like people, like it ended up being people just like hanging out, not really doing anything when they ended up getting there. Like I still don't know what the hell actually inspired that. There's so many like strange stories about Area 51 actually. Like I think they're like mostly stories of just unexplained phenomenon that happened there. Still find it funny that people would try to like go and raid it, supposedly they like save aliens. That sounds kind of bizarre as a fucking concept. I mean, I'm under the impression if there were aliens at Area 51, surely they would have moved them by this point. Like it's been like a huge point of suspicion when people like talk about it all the time, and there's like 1 billion documentaries about it. Why wouldn't they have, if they actually did have aliens there, why wouldn't they have like transferred them to some new place by this point? It just makes sense to not leave a fucking matter that would be like a government secret. It's sitting at Area 51 that like literally everybody knows about by this point. It's not something that would be sensible, I guess. But yeah. Oh man. let's see. I kind of want to talk about more, but I don't want to talk specifically like Area 51 and aliens only, though. So let's talk about some other stuff for a little bit. Another big point that's like pretty fun to talk about are like ghost stories. You guys ever like hear any good ghost stories? Just curious, like really strange shit, or you had anything like really weird happen to you in your life that's not something you can really explain away? I feel like everyone experiences some bizarre shit during their life, at least in one point. Not to say it's ghost, but like there's some crazy shit that'll happen. There's no explainable reason for it. I remember like I think it was like several years ago, hearing a really interesting story on like the news, though, or not even the news, just the radio. I was like, we were going to school. Like I was in the car with my dad. There was some family about like story about some family like moving into a new house. I think it was like in Mexico or something. They were like just moving in, trying to use their new stuff, and like all sorts of weird shit started happening after they moved into this house. Like I believe like they'd see like stuff moving on their own. Like they thought it was like someone in the house playing tricks on them, and they looked into it. Everyone was like where they were supposed to be and not doing anything abnormal. And like at some point the light started like flickering and like something was like messing with it, but nobody was found like messing with anything. And like then it started to get weird. I remember like I think there was like something along the lines they mentioned they found like writing somewhere on the wall or something. It's like because like I think it was like something like telling them to leave or saying get out of our home. It was really creepy. It's all stuff that might be possible by like actual human intervention, but the way it was all like brazen, like how this all sounded like it was happening, I get the impression that it'd be really hard to like fake all this shit. Really creepy sounding too. Oh man. I'm trying to think if I don't think I've had anything that I can actually remember that I've ever had happen to me that's been that bad. Nothing that I could correlate to like a ghost story, but there's a lot of them. Oh, wow. Okay. You know, this is like a barely noticeable shiny, goddamn. I'm glad I got it though. Xatu looks pretty good actually. Seriously. If you aren't looking at this guy, how would you know it's not shiny? I'll take it. Anyway, back to stories. Let's see. Speaking of stories, how many of you guys go camping? Like, I remember, like, that's a thing, at least it was really popular in the past. I don't know if it's that people still do very often when they're camping. Obviously, right now, there's not any camping going on, but, like, sitting around a fire and talking about, like, ghost stories or, like, creepy horror stories or stuff is something that's, like, pretty much a tradition at, like, any camping site. Let's see. Wasn't there a ghost story about, like, a really like famous hotel? I can't remember what it was, but I recall like hearing like a lot of stories about like some hotel where it was like one of the rooms was really, really funny. Like, and people would like stay in. I think the room itself. Like, I think I've heard of some similar stories to that. And I think these hotel stories aren't exactly super uncommon, but like basically everybody who stayed like near this room would like hear weird shit going on in the room. Nobody was checked in the room, and like you'd like hear music playing in it or like the TV going, all these things if it was a normal person, but like go and check on it and nothing would be happening. It was like a ghost was like using a hotel room after they'd like died. Like they died on their vacation and they never actually realized they were dead. Honestly, the whole like idea of ghost in itself is like really, really creepy. Not in a really a bad way, but it's like, you ever like stop to think about like what it must be like to be a ghost? Like, we don't have like any like way to like know anything about it because there's differing stories and reports about it. It's like, is it a thing where you're conscious of like the fact you're dead? Do you not know you're dead? Like, we don't have any details on this shit. And like, I've heard stories where like it's basically like the things people hear from these things are like, supposedly like people die and they like repeat the last thing they were doing when they were alive, like they never realized they actually died. I recall hearing a really creepy story about a cruise ship some time ago. I don't remember when this happened either, but it was like basically they had like a whole bunch of people were on a cruise ship. They all supposedly died, and like I don't remember like how the ship was like intact. I'm pretty sure that was part of the point, was like you come and explore the ship, but like there were like stories about like the people that were on this cruise ship and like the crew, and like you could like go on the cruise ship and you'd hear like screams of people dying from like their own death. You hear like parts of their lives being like relived, and you could also hear like the captain like actually controlling the ship. It's like all this really weird stuff that doesn't add up at all. Kind of really fucking creepy when you think about it too. Oh man. Ugh. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I was going to mention. I mean, that one's and like sent some spines down my chills down my spine when I heard it the first time. Just the idea of like can you imagine like actually going into one of these places? It's like you like expect that you're not gonna actually see anything, because usually people who like talk about like haunted mansions or whatever and talk about like ghosts, they intentionally like try to play it up just to get more people to visit. But like imagine going on this shit and you end up checking it out and you start hearing all this like shit like screaming or whatever, and like start hearing strange noises going on around you, and then you go to check it and it's like completely empty. That would be fucking, I don't know, that would be really unsettling to just get on a ship like that or wherever and you suddenly start hearing all this noise. Especially if there's nobody around that you can actually see. I couldn't imagine. I don't want to deal with that. I'm bad doing like anything where it's like scary. I think I've been to like haunted and mansion attractions or whatever, like things you see at like a little fair or whatever for just like a thing you did and entertain yourself, and those creep me out a little bit. But like actually being in a place that's supposedly haunted would be fucking terrifying. I'm gonna look up some ghost stories. I want to see what I can find actually for like differing results for some stories of like things that might have happened in the past. I don't remember like a whole lot of stories off the top of my head. Let's see what Google comes up with. Why is it the first thing when I look this up and the first thing I see is like something about like some movie from like 3 years back? It's like, if I'm looking up ghost stories, there's a good chance I'm more interested in hearing actual ghost stories, not just some fucking dumb Hollywood bullshit where they took like some old urban legend and then tried to make a movie out of it. Although that's an interesting topic by itself, like looking into that kind of shit and like trying to figure out if any of these actually have a possibility of being real or if it's all just bullshit. Okay, anyway, like I said, let's see if we can find any good stories. If you guys find something you want to talk about or share, feel free to as well. What is this? Lost Furnaces, Birmingham, Alabama. Let's see. Give me a second. I'm just like browsing this thing, what all it says, and seeing if there's anything interesting here. It happens in 5 years after a civil war, and let's see. I think this is about a chemical plant. Okay, I'm looking at this and it reminds me of like the Chernobyl stories, but I don't see anything here. It's just talking about how dangerous it was. This is the problem with like looking up these stories. You look it up, some of these sites. Actually, hold on a second before I do that. I should have been paying attention to the fucking map in the game. I was gonna say, like, that's a problem I hate with like the internet in general, when you like try to look up stuff or look up an article. You guys ever go on like a news site and you fucking find a site you want to look at some stuff on, but then the site ends up fucking and like wasting your time and basically making you read like a whole bunch of pages just to get a really short story. That's the worst. Hey Wayne, welcome to stream. Good to see you. We've been talking about a whole lot of stuff today. Things have been going pretty good. Talked about several things. Earlier we were talking about like space travel and stuff like that. Right now we're on the topic of like ghost stories, just like I wanted to talk about some fun, interesting subjects. I brought up a few already. If you have any you want to mention, feel free to. I was mentioning because I thought that'd be good to talk about. Plus, ghost stories are a really, really good topic. You can talk about like all sorts of different stories that are out there. See like the different reactions to it as well. This isn't a ghost story per se. There is one thing that I really hate that I like think about like it's more creepy. They're talking about ghosts and like I guess like horror story stuff to an extent. You guys know about like how like textbooks talk about like I don't even know if horror story is the right word. I'm just talking about like a particular time period, stuff like that. But like you guys ever reading like the textbooks about how like back in the day, I don't know exactly what period, like they did those like witch trials and shit, but like the stuff about like the town of Salem, all that shit, like people would basically be killed really frequently and like sometimes on like a daily basis. That must have been a really hellish fucking time to live in back in that day. Fucking thing like do anything that's even remotely weird. And then you have these fucking crazy people back then because they didn't use their heads for a lot, and they would always blame the problem on like witches or whatever. Fucking anything you did that caused this to like cast any suspicion on you, you'd be dead. Like and then reading it, it's just like what the fuck? I remember reading like some of their methods, like one thing is like they'd like tie you up to a chair if they thought you were a witch, and they'd like toss the chair in like a fucking lake nearby or some shit. It's like if you didn't survive, you're obviously not a witch, and if you did, they'd automatically think you're a witch. And it's like, how the fuck are any of these like witch trials like remotely sane or sensible? It's like no matter what happens, you fucking die basically. You somehow live, you're just fucking screwed over by all the other people who automatically assume you're a witch. Like, oh my god, I can only imagine how terrible living back in that time was. It's fucking... I wouldn't want to even think about fucking doing one thing wrong and then you get burned at the stake and fucking killed just because there's nobody wants to believe your explanation for it, excuse me. Ugh. Scary to think about. I hear like a lot of like actual weird supernatural shit did happen back in those days, like stuff that wasn't easily explained though, so I guess that kind of makes sense. They'd have a little bit of weird paranoia going around back then. I think I want to talk about something else for just a little bit before we go back to any story topics. I want to talk about a game thing actually. Any of you guys played like Until Dawn or like some of the games by that studio? I don't remember what the hell their studio name is. They made Until Dawn. They made those like, I think they're called like Dark Pictures Anthology or whatever those games. There's 3 of them as far as I can tell. One of them being obviously Until Dawn I just mentioned, and then the other 2 are Man of the Dawn, weird story with like some people on a boat that doesn't really make a lot of sense. I didn't follow like all the details on it. I don't really remember the plot line very well because it wasn't very interesting, and they made a new one like a year or 2 ago, I think. Or not even a year or 2 ago, it's like recent actually. Like it's something called like the Dark Pictures Anthology Little Hope, and it actually is like something about it, like the witch trials and shit, like it's based on the town of Salem. Really, really interesting game actually. Yeah, like it's got a creepy as fuck premise to it. The monsters are like it actually, how am I gonna describe this? Like the story is weird. Yeah, I think it's about this family you see like in the beginning of the game, like you see the main player and like terrible accident happens, like a fire. Everyone ends up like burning to death because of the fire. And then after that, things start to get really fucking weird, like really quickly. Hi there, welcome to the stream. Good username, I guess. Pretty neat one. Anyway, like I was saying, like I think it's like some time travel shit happens when you like get far enough in the game. You can go through like this problem where you can't get out of the town, and there's like this fog around. And this is when like this town of Salem stuff starts falling in the plot line and all these weird things. It's a horror game, and like the monsters are fucking kind of creepy, actually, really creepy. I don't know what they're supposed to be, but like one of the whole things that's going on in the game is that basically the characters, when they like see these pictures of themselves at certain points, and it's like you can see like how a character's supposed to die supposedly, and as a result of that, like you see like these manifestations like monsters that are like sort of similar to something like how they died, that like chases you around trying to kill you. It is really fucking weird looking and really creepy too. Really interesting like storyline in my opinion. How do you guys feel about the whole genre of like games that are like interactive movies? I'm curious to hear everyone's opinions on those. Those have been around for like some time, I think. I remember like the first big one everyone really talked about was, what was it? I don't remember what I'm saying. Heavy Rain, that's it. Heavy Rain has like a lot of people that talk about that even now. Thought about playing that game at some point. Never really had the urge or mean to for like a long time. If you see the whole story, you kind of know what's going on. It's interesting how that like how it's developed over the years. From like being just like a way to like play a game and do like quick times to progress the story, and now it's like, oh, now you're going through and actually making choices and influencing the story quite a bit. Let's see if I can remember. Detroit Become Human looks pretty good actually in that regard. I've never played it. I like the concept behind it, playing as like an android and exploring like a futuristic city. That's a fascinating concept, and there's like so many choices behind it, and depending on how you play, the game gets really, really weird. I kind of wish more games did that, but I don't think it'll ever be like a big trend in games. Just having the option to like you interact with the story, and then things like really, really end up like changing based on how you interact with the game. Let me see. But it felt like playing a movie. It's time to move. Yeah, there's a lot of more games like that nowadays. They used to be really, really like uncommon. Oh yeah, another one I remember was that Beyond Two Souls thing, but I don't remember like a lot of people talking about it. I remember like seeing the ending of it, and it was a weird fucking plot twist. I'm not gonna say much about it, but like the story is fascinating. It's about a girl like losing this friend she has. Nobody can see him but her, and like it makes you believe it's like an imaginary friend she made up, and like you see weird shit go on throughout the story. It's really, really interesting to see how it evolves as you keep playing it. It's strange and really goddamn bizarre compared to like any other game I've seen, and it takes like a very interesting angle for like interactive movie games. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's any I haven't mentioned. Like, all the ones I've seen have been really good for the most part. I don't feel like I love that kind of game, though. I want to see, like I said, I want to see more games where choices matter, though. I remember, like, seeing a dev interview on this exact subject not that long. I think it was somebody who actually worked on, like, the Walking Dead video games, if I'm not wrong. Like, they talked about how they, like, had to, like, write up a whole bunch of different scenarios for the video game, and they had to make it so, basically, like, there were, like, different things that were open, like, for every action you could take, and, like, that way, no matter what you did, you'd have, like, a coherent story, because you're influencing every decision in the game. Like, pretty much every playthrough is going to be somewhat different. Very unlikely that many people would end up with, like, the exact same storyline playing out. It's also neat to see a game that has, like, that exact feature. I can imagine that's not something that's easy to program having a story like that, and then you have to have your game program to remember like exactly who's alive and who's dead throughout the story, and like what all these different plot angles that happened are. Oh man. Let's see. I was hoping I could think of a little more on this exact same subject to talk about, but I think I may have exhausted that one. I mean, I've got other things to talk about for some time we can move on to. Also, hi there if I didn't already say it. Dicker guy, good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Bleh. Sorry if my talking's a little bit mixed up and messy right now. Don't have the absolute best of focus. Let's see, where was I though? Let's talk about game development for a little while. I've got like I'd say, like I've always wondered how developing a game's like. I've wanted to make my own for like the longest time. Although, like I remember when I was a kid, I never really knew what to do with my life until like probably late in my years in high school. Like I just didn't really think about it a whole lot. Then suddenly it came to me because I played games like all the time. Like, hey, why won't I try making my own one day, hopefully, and see if I can do it? Because, like, well, I played them all the time. It'd be great to be able to, like, create my own game idea. And then you look into, like, the whole, like, structure of making games, and God, that is a fucking interesting topic to talk about. Obviously, based on, like, what game you're making, it can be, like, very, very different experience. Hey, Melee Kirby, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. I've been talking a lot of stuff, missed out on a bit of the stream, but you haven't missed out on too much. Had some fun topics like talking about outer space and aliens and stuff, and also about like stuff like ghost stories for a little bit. Anyway, let's talk about what I was talking about earlier. I'm like I said, I think this is a recent story. I was watching somebody who... Shit, am I getting sidetracked? Like I was saying, like... There's somebody talking about, like, the comparison between, like, games and movies, because this is, like, brought up on a live stream I was watching. I think it's an IGN stream or something. And, yeah, the guy who made the game, or the script writer at least, is talking about this because he worked on both games and movies, and talking about, like, the intricacies of, like, which are harder. And I'm not surprised by this, but apparently making games is, like, infinitely harder than making a movie is, because with games, you have to, like, take so many more factors into account. Like, and I can only imagine how much stress must come with a job like working on a game. Especially if you're working on a big-name game. Everyone's got their own projects they're working on. Or not projects necessarily, but, like, well, their own, like, different things they have to do for the game. Like, different designated role. You got your artist who has to design, like, most of the artwork for the game. You've got somebody who's in charge of music, making music. Then you have to plot out, like, every level really carefully, and on top of that, you've got, like all these people working on features and your bug testers. I can imagine it's, like, a fucking really crazy goddamn experience. I've heard a lot of stories that make me, like, feel, like, a little bit bad for the devs when they talk about, like, their game development, because they talk about, like, ideas they want to work on, and they end up, like, scrapping them because they don't work very well. Fun fact that I remembered, like, reading about, like, I don't know how long ago, or maybe it was from a video, but, like, watching a thing from, like, Platinum Games, and this was around sometime after Astral Chain, I think. They were talking about, like, the development of the game. Apparently Astral Chain has been in development for, like, a long time, and they've supposedly been working on it before they started on the Wonderful 101, which is really fascinating to me since they were, like, both new IPs, and it seemed like this was, like, a thing that was, like, only worked on for so long and just got released, and then you find out that it's been worked on for God knows how many years. Let's see, where was I? That's a thing I see a lot in games. Long development times. I can't imagine what must be going through these poor developers' heads, and they have to, like, work on a project for years on end. And then, like, after so long, it just turns into, like, well, we can't get the game to work. We've tried, like, multiple different ideas.
none of the ideas we're actually working with seem to be working, so we have to scrap the game. Like, they throw around all the stuff and work on it and make so much progress, and then it just goes to fucking waste. I remember the story about Scalebound I saw on Game Explain. Like, I think they interviewed Platinum about it or something, or they had like statements from somewhere, and Platinum talked about how they wanted to make Scalebound for a long time, and not just like the time it was like originally revealed. Supposedly it was like kind of different originally, and then like they ended up finally having to cancel it. What year did that get canceled? Like, that must have been a fucking heartbreaking experience for the devs, though. Imagine like working on a project that they've wanted to work on for like 10 years or whatever, your big passion project that you put all your effort into and all your love into, and then like years later, because of rocky development, your game has to just be fucking completely canceled. That must really fucking suck. I can imagine that's like really demoralizing, to say the least. I couldn't imagine going through it. Hold on a second. I need to update my account, really. It's been a very, very frustratingly slow session for me. I haven't been able to get like more than this one KO right now, and I've been like losing every fucking battle I've attempted since I started. It's not like it's terrible, but it's not great either. Anyway, let's get back to the current subject at hand. Talking about game development. Let's see. Nothing. Okay. What's a good one to talk, or what's a good thing to talk about right now in like the game development stuff? I'm just thinking here. I wonder how Nintendo's teams work, actually. Like, I'd hear Nintendo's got a lot of, like, different teams working there, and I'm sure there's a lot of them, like, in all these projects at one time. Something I don't really love about the idea of working at a company, like, if I did make a game, like, I don't know if I'd want to be the type of person who could, like, work on just one game genre alone and not ever change anything. I like Nintendo and Valve and like a lot of other studios because they expand and they make it so they can have like a lot of projects they can work on. I'd get sick and tired of working on, like, say if you got a horror game studio, you keep working on horror games and nothing but horror games your whole life. Hang on a second. Here, the Doom Eternal may end up being a digital-only release on Switch. A physical edition? I think I'd heard about that. I don't think it's like a maybe scenario, though. I think I recall reading on the Switch subreddit, and like I think I recall reading that they actually had like just went out and canceled the physical release like completely. I still don't believe they're gonna like actually end up like necessarily making a Switch release at this point, like they say they are, but it's been a long time. It's been like dead silence, and it's like so far behind all the other versions. Like, it's in that kind of scenario where it's like, if there's a Switch version, like, it must be in development hell right now. Like, there's no reason it should be taking this long. The whole game already released on PC and like other platforms, and on top of that, they released DLC by now. So it's like, well, I don't see that happening. That's another thing I'd like to talk about in game development for a little bit. You ever see like companies that work on like exclusives, and then they have like like at the chain, or not even an exclusive, they work on a game where they like end up having to go exclusive, or they end up like making a game and changing it from exclusive to like multi-plat? That must be a frustrating thing to work on in your job. Getting to know like hardware, and then you like work on a game and improve like the version you're working on, and then end up being stuck with like, what was I saying? I've had to change things like right away. When I think of like a story like this, one of the first things that comes to mind is, I think Sonic Boom had this like exact development problem. They were working on it, things seemed okay, and then Sega stepped in like midway through the development, and they ended up changing it to a Wii U exclusive. Like, I remember there was like, it went by a different title, and it was teased for like Xbox and I think it's Xbox One and PS4. It might have been Xbox 360 and PS3. I don't remember. But like, they had to change everything, and like, people not only got demoralized, people started leaving all the time. Apparently, Sega was like pushing them and rushing them to finish the game. I can imagine how lame that must feel. Like, you're working this hard on your game, nearly done. Oh, gotta overhaul the entire fucking project because it's like the publishing company wants it. I've never seen a single game story I can think of more than Sonic Boom, where like everything was turned into a fucking total disaster. Like, I'm not gonna speak of the game's quality. I don't think the game was that great. I didn't hate it when I played it a little bit, but like, it's so like big with like so many bugs. Like, they were like, big was not, or excuse me, like real with like so many bugs. Eggs from like suddenly changing the development, and they were on time crunch. Oh my god, that project, everything went so wrong for it. Remember like the launch of Sonic Boom? If anybody's like paying attention back then when it actually happened, like it was buggy as shit, and like there were all these like problems in the game. Like the first day the game was out, somebody found a major glitch in the game, and you could like actually like use this glitch with like Knuckles or something, and you could like jump like throughout the whole map wherever you wanted and like skip like major parts of the game. It was like really fucking ridiculous. Also, see like all these really bad, like poorly animated like character animations. And on top of that, the gameplay was like really shallow and whatnot. Like, I hear like a lot of people at Big Red, was it Big Red Button? I think it's the name, or whatever the fuck it was called. I'd have to double check the fucking studio name, but like the guys who were working on it, a lot of them just fucking up and left the company before the game finished development. Let's see. And we assumed the big mistake. The CryEngine, a barely working custom version of the engine. Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm surprised too they did that. I think I remember reading about it. It's like it's a somewhat well-known bug, I guess, but it's like the game was seriously unsuccessful. It's like nobody really plays it and talks about it for any good reason. If you hear Sonic Boom now, it's usually like people memeing on the game. So like, I don't think I know of anybody who actually enjoys really playing it. I don't know what they were wasting their resources on, patching a bug that ultimately fucking got them nothing. I don't know. I've been kind of concerned about Sega's development in general, actually, when I talk about developers. Sonic over the years hasn't had a very good-looking, like, track history for games. Like, Sonic games have been getting in this loop where there's a lot of bad Sonic games and not a lot of good ones. You see, like, a little bit of, like, them making good games every now and then, but it's, like, really inconsistent. I remember, like, for a few years, too, Sega was doing, like, a bunch of different games and working on a whole bunch of different projects. Now they've went to, like, doing mostly Sonic again, and, like, not a lot of the Sonic titles are, like, amazingly... or they're doing amazing in their, like, quality. I feel like maybe they should get rid of, like, Team Sonic. I don't know, like... when's the last proper good 3D Sonic game we've had? I feel like... saying Sonic... I don't know, I didn't like Sonic Lost World. I didn't care for it. I remember playing it on Wii U and not liking it, though. And I think the general reception was... Hold on a second, like, that's bothering me. I'm gonna mute my mic, I think. Ugh, sorry about that. I just didn't really want to sneeze in the mic like that. It feels like it's just kind of not a good feeling, and it's... I don't know. It's not like it's bad. I hear a lot of people say it's like a bit of a bad manners thing, and I prefer to like try to cover it up if I can. Ugh, that was felt nasty. Let me make sure I didn't forget my mic. Okay, good. I was gonna say if I forgot to unmute, I'd be real embarrassed right now. But yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like I've seen a lot of great things come out of Sega and Sonic team as of recently. Let's see. I mean, Optimism the big, and that's Big Sonic, a great one. Or the Massive Letdown Sonic Forces. Oh yeah, I know what you mean there. I don't know what to say. I remember, like, back in the day, though, there was that whole thing that happened. Maybe it's the wrong way to describe it. Like, back after, like, I think it's probably close to, like, Shadow the Hedgehog or, like, maybe even Sonic 06. That's the one thing people always quote, like, Sega got into a really, really bad slump of, like, making a whole bunch of Sonic games, and, like, none of the Sonic games they actually released were good. Just a whole bunch of trash that nobody liked. I can remember so many games that came out back in that point, and a lot of people hated them. Some of them were better than others, like supposedly Sonic Unleashed wasn't terrible and it was a decent game. I never really played Sonic Unleashed, so I never really got to see how it played firsthand. But, like, let's see. I remember that Sonic and the Secret Rings thing on, like, a TV commercial back in the day for the Wii. I remember, like, I thought it looked alright, and then I tried it, and oh my god, that game plays like shit. Like, the controls are really weird. They obviously tried to force, like, a motion control gimmick, and it was not a fun game. It was just really, really frustrating and really goddamn annoying to play. Also, the same for the sequel, because I think that Sonic and the Black... I haven't played the Sonic and the Black Knight game, but I'm pretty sure that's, like, a very, very similar, like, game to how the Secret Rings is. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's any others I can remember. I remember the Sonic Riders stuff, actually, because Sonic Riders was actually, like, it was a spin-off, but it was actually okay. I remember they made, like, 2 or 3 of those games, and I played those, and it was a fun little goofy distraction from the normal Sonic games that were, like, being released. But yeah, there were a lot of bad Sonic games back at that point. I can't remember, like, a whole bunch of them because some of them were just unmemorable. One of them I remember, though, that was in this period that was, like, somewhat common. I don't know how common. There was, like, a game on DS that came out. I think it was called, like, what was it? Sonic the Dark Chronicles or something about, like, the Brotherhood or some shit, and it was an RPG game, and literally nobody who played it was actually, like, a fan of it. Apparently the game was really, really unfun and really fucking boring. Like, it's probably one of the worst Sonic games released during that time. There were a lot of games coming out back then, too, in the Sonic series, and I think probably, like, a lot in general. I remember, like, there were Sonic games being, like, advertised, like, almost every single year with, like, something being released. Some of them were okay, some of them were just trash. I don't know what the fuck was going on with Sega during that point. I will say, like, one game I hear about in the Sonic franchise that I've seen get trashed every now and then, and, like, quite a few different videos. Like, Sonic Heroes is one game I don't really completely understand all the hate for. Sonic Heroes was actually a pretty alright game. I'm not gonna say it was terrible, but, like, I see a lot of people, like, talk about bad Sonic games, and one of the first ones who, like, try to lump in with the bad games is Sonic Heroes, and it's like, I can see where this game has flaws. I can see where there's a lot of issues, but I don't see where this game is terrible. The biggest problem I have with Sonic Heroes on any replay are, like, the two that most people make. That's, like, for one, in order to, like, experience the whole story and to reach the final boss, you have to do every single story from every character, despite them being, like, the same fucking levels no matter or what. And then there's also the matter that Chaos Emerald hunting in that game is fucking kind of terrible. It's like, those two aspects are really, really lame. But I like the gameplay. I find it to be a neat and kind of refreshing, like, gameplay swap up. I like the idea of, like, swapping between a flying character, a speedy character, and a power character. They made a fairly, like, decent system with, like, each team having, like, different strong points. Oh man, let's see. I'm trying to think here. Sonic Heroes was alright. The story was not the best, but it was good enough. One thing I don't get about the Sonic fandom, before we move along, well, I think I brought it up before, and I apologize for, like, talking too much on old topics I've talked about before, but I don't remember how well I've discussed this or how many times I've mentioned it. there seems to be a lot of hate, like, over the years that it's, like, just accumulated for Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. And I have no idea why. It's like, why is there, like, a large bit of the Sonic fan base that seems to just hate these games? They were, like, received pretty well, and they were loved, like, quite a bit back in the day they released, and, like, a lot of people still like them. I find them to be really fun games. I don't see why there's, like, a lot of people that come out of the woodworks now, though, and, like, completely shit on Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2. It's like, they're fun games. I think I agree with your stance about Aaron from Game Grumps. Like, I recall watching, like, the Sonic 06 playthrough from, like, Game Grumps back when JonTron was still on, like, Game Grumps. I remember, like, a particular moment very strongly where Aaron was, like, talking about, like, yeah, it was like, I think he's talking about, like, how bad the game was, and he, like, John brought up, like, Sonic Adventures, and I think, and, like, said it was good, and then, like, immediately, just, like, something you'd expect out of Aaron fucking talked about, like, no, these are the same game, like, the same as, like, how this game is, and, like, started calling them bad, and then told John to replay them, and for some reason he, like, sided with them after, like, seeing the games again. Like, I don't remember, like, all the context in it. I'm not sure if he actually meant what he was saying or not. I feel like part of it might have been JonTron, like, going along with what he was saying because he didn't want to, like, piss him off and just wanted to fucking and keep playing the game. Like, I don't know, though. Whenever I played Sonic Adventures, or, like, those games, like, I genuinely feel like the gameplay is pretty tight, pretty responsive, and fairly fun. Like, there's nothing that really bothers me about it. They play like what you'd expect out of Sonic would, and does a really good job with its gameplay. It's like, the point of makes Sonic 06 bad is it's buggy, it's got a shitty story, and like on top of that, none of the levels are really that fun or exciting compared to like Sonic Adventures. I don't feel like the general gameplay of Sonic Adventures is the problem, so I don't know why that argument even convinced anybody to fucking, like, hate on these games. I guess people were just sheep, though. I don't know. I'm not gonna defend them as, like, perfect games. Obviously, they have their problems, though. Don't tell me we fucking lost. If we lost right now after coming all this way, I'm gonna be really pissed off. Oh no, I think we may be dead. What is with my luck today? I played yesterday for only 2 hours, and I managed to get like 4 or 5 kills on it. Today I played, and I've managed to get like 1 kill out of all the time I've been playing. And this fucking thing just keeps fucking hitting me with that one attack, and our crew goes down and fucking dying to Origin Pulse. I'm not having very good luck. And this is like overall easier than the Groudon shiny hunt I went on. I don't know why we keep dying. Anybody here who has the game, if you want to, like, join up and, like, do, like, a little group to, like, shiny hunt this, that might actually help a little bit, because this is going really poorly. I don't know if it's, I don't think it's necessarily the fact we're getting randoms, but I mean, I'm not sure if people are making good choices, and also, I didn't notice, like, any great path options when we've been playing. This is getting a little frustrating, though, when it shouldn't be. Let's see. Strongest in time as a mediocre Zelda. I remember that video pretty well. I don't know if I would go into, like, saying the game is mediocre myself either, but I don't have the strongest feelings when it comes to Ocarina of Time. I've seen a lot of, like, people talk about it and praise it, and it's like, I feel like a lot of people put Ocarina of Time on a pedestal because it's, like, the first 3D Zelda game, so they end up, like, throwing heaps of praise. Why did I say Sonic? I'm guessing I'm still talking about Sonic earlier, and I had it on my brain, but yeah, like, they throw heaps of praise at like, yeah, they throw heaps of praise in Ocarina of Time because it came first, and talk about, like, all the technological advancements in it. It's like, I don't know, it's not like it's a bad thing. In fact, it's cool they did, like, a lot of new things with it, but it's like, that's all you can look at the game and, like, praise it for doesn't really seem like that's the strongest, like, argument that it's a good game. I don't hate it. I find the story to be very, very bland by Zelda standards, though. Nothing in Ocarina of Time from the story I can think of, like, really stood out as, like, particularly creative. It was just like, you went after Ganondorf, went through and, like, found all the sages and woke them up and whatnot, and then you had to take the Master Sword and beat him. It's literally like your stereotypical, like, Zelda game, only in, like, 3D, at least in story. It's a good game, but it had like, a lot of, like, very, very boring game design, in my opinion. I don't know, when I play, like, other Zelda games, I feel like they probably, like, a lot of them take the design in a better direction than how Ocarina of Time did. They were more interesting and developed their gimmicks better, in my opinion. Let me see. I'll put Mario 64 on Pencil Tube as the first 3D. Yeah, I'm not going to say that I don't like Mario 64. Mario 64, I feel like it's not as good as it gets praised for, more so than Zelda does with Ocarina of Time, but, like, that's something I can discuss in a little bit, maybe later in more detail. It's like Mario 64 has a plethora of problems that are very, very obvious if you've played it, like, especially in, like, modern games, like, you play it and then you play Mario 64 and it really shows, like, all the issues this game had. Let me see. Old Zelda. Yeah, that's not the point I'm making towards. I think it's well, actually, it's. I think what I'm saying is, like, mostly towards, like, 3D Zelda, but it could, like, be interpreted towards, like, 2D Zelda as well. It's certainly not the most creative story between, like, 2D and 3D, but I feel like it doesn't have a lot of strong points other than it's in 3D, and it's got good gameplay. I will say I still like it, and also it's not my least favorite of the 3D Zelda games. If I want to go into, like, a rant here, and I hope people aren't going to get upset over this, because I know a lot of people don't like hearing this, like, I feel like the worst 3D Zelda game is probably Wind Waker, and I hear a lot of people like, a lot of people like the game, and a lot of people, like, praise it and throw heaps and heaps of praise at Wind Waker, but there's one flaw, especially when I, like, replay Wind Waker, that I can never ignore, and that's how slow-paced it is compared to every other Zelda game. It feels like it takes forever to play the game, because, like, the sailing is slow, and I mean really slow, and I'm not just talking, like when you don't have, like, a good sail. I know about the Wii version changing things, putting the Swift sail in. I don't feel like that takes away my, like, main complaint from the game, because what I have a problem with is how the game forces, like, fucking really slow pacing, forces you to go through and, like, take your time, like, sailing to every island you want to reach. It feels like it takes forever to get to new locations. It really genuinely makes me think about, like, well, could be moving on, getting further in the story. Instead, I'm, like, in the middle of the ocean right now, like, slowly making my way to my destination, even if I had the wind set in the right direction. I have to fucking sit there and, like, sometimes deal with the fucking enemies that pop out of the water and want to fucking start a fight for no reason. It's like, I don't know, I can't see how this is defended so much. I feel like the whole thing about the slow-paced sailing fucking really killed it for me. It's like, if the sailing wasn't so slow, I'd be fine with it. That's the part that really hurts it for me. Everything else is really goddamn good. Like, the big thing that actually kind of fixes is the fact that you get, like, fast travel later in the game, but it's, like, a long time after you do. You have to go to, like, let's see, I think you go to, like, a tower or whatever, and you get, like, a bow and arrow. There's, like, a frog I remember in the game that fucking messes with you while you're playing the game, and you have to, like, you can't really stop him early on. Then when you get the bow, you're able to, like, shoot him and get, like, a thing for your Wind Waker that you can use, and then you finally get the option to, like, use, like, fast travel. But it's so late in the game that I feel like I don't really like how they handled it. It's like, this should have been, like, something you get a lot earlier in the game. It would have made it feel a little more enjoyable, and probably a better experience in my opinion. I think it's like the 4th or 5th dungeon in the game. That's all my only issue. Everything else about Wind Waker is great. I love the gameplay of like exploring islands, even though I don't like the slow pacing. I like the way the characters look, and I like the way the art style is. I think it's really, really good and really, really well put together. It's like, I find it to be a great game, but like this one aspect of it holds me back from really loving it. And it's a shame to have to say that, because it's like, if it wasn't for this, I would absolutely rate it as maybe one of my favorite Zelda games of all time. Like, the story is pretty cool for Zelda standards, too, even though it's not the most amazing one. Just, it's done really well. I wish they gave us a little more details on, like, the fucking flood, though. We don't really get to hear about, like, a whole lot of what happens with, like, the lore and, like, why everything got flooded and like, how everything went wrong. We just know that, like, because of Link being missing, that the island got flooded. Personally, when I look at Wind Waker, actually, like one thing I can say is I look at, like, Phantom Hourglass, and that game is a very, very... I feel like that game did a good job, like, expanding on what Wind Waker started, especially since it, like, made sailing a lot easier. In Phantom Hourglass, you just, like... I think you just, like, drew, like, a line on the touchpad, and, like, you ended up, like, guiding your ship to where you wanted to go through that, and, like... pretty quick and pretty easy to get around. You didn't have like a lot of struggle getting to each destination you wanted to. But that game has its own issues too. I don't know what you're doing, dude. I haven't even won more than one encounter. You're gonna try and steal shiny luck from somebody. You might want to take shiny luck from somebody who actually isn't failing at getting any like KOs on their shiny target. Anyway, like I was saying, I like Phantom Hourglass quite a bit. I didn't like the part about, like, using the touchscreen for everything, though. I genuinely feel like that was a bit of a problem. Fucking sitting there, like, having to use your stylus just to swipe your sword, or just to get around and, like, do things. Literally everything was, like, delegated to either touchscreen or your mic on your DS. It was a bit of a weird system, and, like, both the DS Zelda games did this. Even though they were pretty good games overall. I didn't like the drawing, like the way you had to do like certain shapes, because some of the recognition on the DS screen is really goddamn bad. One thing I remember about Phantom Hourglass when I played it was like I got stuck on the final boss fight for like probably like several years because I couldn't get the fucking thing they wanted you to do, like the little drawing an hourglass to work out correctly. Every time I tried to, it wouldn't register the shape, and I was using the same shape I did to, like, actually get it for, like, every other time I drew it, so I don't know why it wouldn't work. That part pissed me off a lot, actually. Like, I would have loved that game, but I had not found a fucking stupid one single point where the game has poor touchscreen recognition. That actually brings up an interesting thing I might want to discuss in a second. We'll wait a second. Hang on a moment. I want to check one thing before I continue. I need to check a thing on my live page just for a moment. Okay, I think we're good. Anyway, Spirit Tracks might be my favorite out of like the Wind Waker games. Actually, I think Spirit Tracks was fun. I don't know what it was. I liked the whole idea of going around and like using a train to explore, and the music was really cool. The boss fights felt pretty fun. Pretty good, solid game. Biggest problem I have with it is like the microphone. Speaking of which, when talking about the microphone on like the DS, oh my god, I have never seen like a worse function in the hardware than the fucking DS microphone. It works so poorly compared to like any other microphone. Like it doesn't recognize like what you're doing or how you're like interacting with it very well. I remember a lot of DS games like forced you to use your mic to like breathe into it for like some functionality for the game, and it never really worked out very well. I don't know if you're still here, like Melee Kirby here. friend Melee Kirby, like, he was playing Bowser's Inside Story yesterday and actually talked about, like, a certain boss fight while we were on it, and like, he was playing, I mentioned a certain problem that was very prevalent in the, like, the original version of Bowser's Inside Story that's not an issue in, like, the 3DS version. For anybody who's not in the know, like, Bowser's Inside Story has a lot of interesting gameplay, but one of the big mechanics that happens when you get, like, a little far into the game, there's, like, a set of, like, these boss battles where you're supposed to, like, you grow Bowser in size where he's, like, really big, and there's several of these. They're supposed to be like a spectacle, I guess, but how it works, at least in the DS version, is you make Bowser grow really big, then after you get him to grow, you end up, like, using stuff like, you use his Fire Breath, and you use, let's see, Fire Breath, what was it, punching, and I think the other one's just, like, healing, and you counterattack and, like, do all this through, like, your DS on your touchscreen and your microphone. For the punching, you just use, like, a slide with, like, the stick on your screen and use that to punch the enemies. And for fire breathing, the game makes you fucking breathe into your microphone. And the worst part is you have to fucking, like, time it very, very carefully. You don't do it just right, you miss the timing and mess it up really badly. Which leads me to this point I was talking about with Bowser's Inside Story. The giant bosses are really cool. There's, like, 2 of them that are really lame. One of them is because of the fact that it's, like, like, you have to use Fire Breath a whole lot, and, like, the one I'm talking about, I think it's, like, you're, like, 3/4 through the game, and then there's this fucking train that comes over and, like, hits Bowser while he's looking for something. You end up having to fight it, and then the game comes up, it's like, oh, this train is punch-proof. You have to use, like, Fire Breath on it. And I shit you not, like, the only way to damage it outside of, like, slight opportunities in between, like, your, like, turns, all you can do is sit there and breathe fire on it using the DS microphone. And it is horrible, because I remember playing it several times, and, like, I would try to get the timing right, try to do everything carefully. The DS mic wouldn't even register half the time I did it. I'd, like, try, and, like, a lot of time, and I waited for, like, the excellent timing. I'd try to bleep and breathe in, and it wouldn't register me, like, breathing into the microphone. And then I'd fucking end up having my game, like, give it, like, an okay with, like, literally, like, 2 damage when I ended up using the Fire Breath. It was awful. Combine this with the fact that it's, like, the only way you can damage the fucking train. It's, like, a really, really huge problem and a giant headache, frankly. I think I lost that boss God knows how many times, like, sitting there trying to beat it just because I couldn't get the fucking microphone to work with me. Ugh. That one boss fight left some really bad memories. It was one of the few points of Bowser's Inside Story I didn't like very much. And that's a really, really good DS game, actually. Ugh. I'm glad they gave up on using, like, a microphone as, like, a way to add gameplay to games. I feel like the DS microphone, using it for, like, trying to make it for, like, a major gameplay function in some games is just a huge mistake. It's not like it was terrible. I can remember a few good instances of it that were, like, acceptable. Like, you look at Nintendogs. Nintendogs was kind of fun, actually. Like, sit there messing around with the virtual dog and, like, get to teach it all these tricks and call it by its name, all that stuff. Get to interact and have a lot of fun just doing stuff you have with the normal dog. That was a pretty good use of the microphone. And then I remember, like, one other instance in WarioWare Touched where you, like, had, like, a particular set of mini games and they all used your DS microphone. Those functioned really well in my like memory. I remember, like, playing those and it seemed to work fairly well. I think it was like Mike, a whole bunch of mini games focused on, ironically, microphone usage. Oh gosh. Come to think of it, I wonder why there hasn't been any, like, activity with the Nintendog series in a long time, actually. I don't know if they just, like, gave up on it or what. Like, they made one on DS and they made one on 3DS and then they never made another game in that series. Like, I feel like either on mobile or on Switch it'd probably catch attention really quickly. It's not like it was the most amazing, like, gameplay, though, I'll be honest. I've got to say, if I had a choice between Nintendogs or getting a real dog now, I'd probably want to have a real dog. It's not the same messing around with a virtual dog that doesn't actually exist. Oh, man. Actually, that'd probably be a perfect game for mobile. I bet you they would get a lot of people to download it, and maybe if they... the feeling it'd probably be microtransaction infested if they bothered to do that, though, and that would not be something I'd want to see. What are some old games you guys remember liking on, like, Nintendo systems? Like, some fun ones? I remember, like, a lot of experiences like this on, like, just DS and 3DS alone. There's a lot of really good games out there that are really fun. Oh, my fingers are numbing up a little bit, and I can barely feel them. It's fucking annoying. I hate when this shit happens. Anyway, like I was saying, let's see. Oh, there was one game I remember on DS that was really good, actually. Anybody played, like, the Pac-Man DS title? Or at least, I think there might have been several of them, but, like, I remember one of them where, like, you play it and the whole idea was, like, you drew, like a bunch of Pac-Mans on your DS screen, and you had to, like, get them to, like, go around on your screen and, like, eat up ghosts. It was a really, really weird, like, way to, like, do gameplay, but it was pretty fun. Just like, silly game. You're drawing Pac-Man, like, a different size or different shape, trying to, like, use it to, like, work around specific levels, and it was fairly creative use of the DS hardware, in my opinion. Like, probably some of the best I've seen. I had a lot of fun times on it. I still remember my time in Mario 64 DS really well. I remember I went through and, like, 100% of that game after, like, some time, just because I thought it was fun. They added a lot of new stars to it. I'm actually sad they didn't put it in the 3D All-Stars collection. I mean, to be honest, 3D All-Stars collection is a little bit disappointing in general, though. It felt like, well, let's say they advertise it as more, but actually that's not true. I remember, like, seeing a lot of rumors, though, suggesting that it'd be, like, some big collection with a bunch of remakes in it, and it'd be, like, really fun, and then we get it, and it's a bunch of ports that are, like, really minimalistic and not really adding a lot to, like, any of the games that are added. Excuse me, hold on a second. I had stuff on my glasses. Anyway, like I was saying, yeah, like, I was hopeful for, like, HD remakes, and it's like, when I look at, like, say, like a lot of other collections, I can't help but feel 3D All-Stars is kind of lazy. We'll talk about that in just a second, because I think I saw a message I wanted to check. It's Pack Picks. Played it yourself. Playing a game called Pack and Roll. Isometric monkey ball vibe. Interesting. So that's the name of the one I was thinking of. It's called Pax Picks. Yeah, I remember playing that, actually. That was a fun DS game. That was something that I really enjoyed playing back in the day. I can recommend it if anybody's, like, looking for good games and for whatever reason you have a DS lying around, or B, you just want to, like, download something and mess around and play with it, like a DS game. Like, that's a pretty fun one to check out. I've never heard of Pack and Roll, though. It sounds interesting. I never really got into Monkey Ball either. I remember I played, like, a bit of that Banana Blitz demo thing, and I couldn't stand what I played because the fucking level design is just, it's really easy to fall off the level and, like, die, and they give you, like, not very much to go off of in terms of lives, and, like, if you continue, you have to restart, like, the whole fucking demo over again. I didn't like that very much. I don't know if that's how, like, a lot of the series is and how that's, like, Monkey Ball is in general, but that demo gave me a really bad aftertaste playing it, frankly. I don't know if it's always like that. Maybe one day I'll play and see, like, more of Monkey Ball, see if it's any good, though. Speaking of Monkey Ball, I just remembered something fucking awful about Galaxy. It wasn't completely terrible, but see, my throat's acting up. I'll have to get a water in a little bit, but I'm going to continue talking right now before I resolve to get water to keep my throat from going dry on me. Like, the Galaxy had, like, a lot of, like, really gimmicky levels. Also, wait a second. You know, I think we just got a KO that I forgot to add to my counter, actually. Fuck. Wait. Hang on a second. Yeah, did I forget to update at one point? I think I did. Can anybody rewind the VOD and, like, double check? If I have to, I can take this off of the counter, but, like, just, like, rewind to, like, the last Dynamax Adventures I did and, like, double check if I actually killed Kyogre or not, because I can't remember if I did. I'm just upgrading that because I'm pretty sure I did, but I might be wrong. I don't think I can do it on my own, but I'm not really sure. Let me see. I'm gonna try and see if I can find, like, point in the stream where I was at and see if I can see, like, when my last encounter was. Yeah, okay, that was my bad. Good, thanks for reminding me, because I needed to, like, put that in there. Otherwise, I wouldn't have counted it. That was my fault. I'm not great about remembering that point sometimes. Yeah, it said 12. I thought that was the case. I couldn't remember if I'd killed it again or if I'd actually just been, like, forgetful. I'm gonna take this in case I get an electric Pokemon. Might as well. I don't count, if it's not obvious, I don't count the, like, losing attempts, but I'm pretty sure I had a winning attempt, so I was just making sure. Like, if I lose, I don't actually get to check it for shiny, so there's no point in sitting here and counting up encounters where I don't actually win. Anyway, back to my subject. Talking about Mario Galaxy. Mario Galaxy had a lot of gimmicky levels. And one of them I remember really well that I hated. You went around on this one galaxy. I remember the name of it. You had to go on like a fucking like little ball that you have, and it has a star on top of it. And it's all controlled through like motion control. So you're sitting here like rolling this ball around, trying your best to not make any stupid and sudden movements to like knock the ball off the level, and like being really careful of like all these enemies the game tosses at you. And of course, like in any shitty mission design in games, like they litter these enemies everywhere, and they're intentionally put like so they'll like trip you up and drop you off the level. It is one of the most annoying fucking levels in the whole game. Not remotely fun to play on. I mean, I played that. I kind of remembered like stuff I saw in Monkey Ball. I don't know if that level actually plays like Monkey Ball does, though. I can say I had bad memories from it, though. That was a bad level, in my opinion. Ugh, God. I say that about quite a few of the fucking motion control levels, though. Like the fucking Stingray thing where they force you to sit there and, like, control a Stingray via motion controls and, like, race to the end of, like, a water course or whatever you want to call it. I think the worst memory I have from, like, the Galaxy games in terms of, like, motion controls is from Galaxy 2. The one thing I remember really not liking is there's a thing in Galaxy 2. You play this mission where you have to, like, get this bird that you're using, and you end up, like, grabbing onto it's like, I think you grab the wings or something, and you have to, like, use the motion controls to, like, control the bird's movement and control the wings. And it's, like, specific movements, like, flap it upwards or downwards. And, oh my god, is it one of the most annoying and frustrating controlling experiences ever. It's really hard to dip down or upwards. You bump into shit really easy, and it feels like the acceleration isn't simple to control. Like, it was very, very unfun. Arguably one of the least fun, like, Mario missions I've played in a Mario game that I can remember. It was bad. I wish Nintendo didn't insist on making, like, so many games with, like, mandatory motion controls, because they end up fucking hurting a lot of games they wouldn't hurt with, like, their motion controls. I mean, just look at what happened to Star Fox Zero, where that game looked like it had potential, and they fucking heaped motion controls onto it, and, like, pretty much everyone agrees the motion controls harmed the game more than they did help the game. I don't know. I mean, I'm glad they got, like, an option to do the spin attack with the button in Mario Galaxy now, but still. That's a hell of a thing to remember and, like, talk about, too. Like, motion controls were something back in the day. They sometimes were really good. They added quite a bit to certain games, but other times they felt like they were kind of shit and didn't really help with the games very much. Excuse me, my throat's still bothering me. I think after I get my next Kyogre KO, I'm gonna focus on grabbing a drink so my throat's not fucking feeling like I'm sitting here dying from, like, feeling like I have a dry throat that's getting kind of strained when I talk too much, because I don't know what that is. I don't think I hear many streamers that have this problem, but for some reason I seem to, and it always comes up really heavily and bothering me in the middle of talking. The only way to fix it is to get water and, like, try to, like, moisturize my throat by getting a quick drink. Ugh. I think the one game I remember having the best motion controls actually was, like, probably, like, Metroid Prime Trilogy. Metroid Prime 3 did a good job with it, and then they made that, like, collection where they ported 1 and 2 in, like, a collection with Metroid Prime 3. That was a great experience playing that and getting, like, all those games, like, enhanced controls. I feel like the Wii, like, motion controls in that game made the aiming feel a lot smoother, in my opinion. That was a fun experience. So I'm curious to hear, what are the best Wii games and the best use of, like, motion controls for anybody who wants to talk about it? I like WarioWare Smooth Moves, actually. That was a fun one. That had some really crazy, really stupid, and goofy mini-games. They were all really, really good. I remember playing it back in the day and just loving it. I don't think there was one mini-game section I didn't like too much in that game. The only one I had a bit of trouble with was when I was playing through, like, Tiny Wario, and I think also, like, some of the challenge levels are really fucking hard, too. Other than that, it was really good, though. I miss WarioWare. I want to see another new WarioWare game. It's been a long time since the last one. I mean, at least since the last brand new one. WarioWare Gold was cool, but it was a collection game more than anything. Hang on a second, I have a call. I'm at the... Actually, you know what? I'm gonna let this ring right now. It's from my parents. I'm not gonna, like, immediately answer this. I'd talk to you guys. I'm gonna mute this if I can. Let me see. Just, like, I don't want to pick up, because if I talk to them, I'd rather wait a little bit. Also, on top of that, there was something else if I can remember. I think it was about, like, let's see. Well, I can't remember what I was going to say. Shit. I think I don't want to talk to them, but like, I don't want to make the call myself, and I'd rather see what they say on the, like, voicemail before I call and see what's going on. I don't want to talk about the whole situation with my parents. I think I've told you guys before, I'd had problems. My parents, like, got into a big fight some time ago, and I haven't talked to them since then, and I'm still really upset with them, so talking to them in general is like a really sore point right now. I'm still really, really unhappy about what happened before. Ugh. I would talk about it, but every time I try to talk about it, I feel like I get really frustrated. You guys mind if I mute my mic after I, like, finish this really quick? Because I think I want to take a little bit of a point to, like, not only get a drink and, like, maybe take a really quick AFK break, but I think I want a little bit of time to just, like, think to myself. After seeing that phone call, I just felt like my brain, like, kind of froze up for a second, and I felt like I lost my train of thought. I feel like right now, like, this is a point where not only is it hard for me to talk about, but like when I get too emotional, sometimes, like, I end up having trouble talking about anything, and also on top of that, I'd be worried I can, like, even keep talking, because I just have this, like, I need to get my mind clear again for a little bit. I won't need long. I just need to, like, relax myself a little bit. I don't really feel like I'm happy at this exact moment. Ugh. Hold on a second. I'm gonna check this and at least see if I got a voicemail or not. I don't know if my inbox is working. I didn't see anything. Whatever. Anyway, ugh. Yeah, this is kind of something I figured might happen eventually. I figured I would end up not being able to speak, and this is a different matter than normal. I know I need to work on my streaming a little bit and find the way to like make it easier for me to talk about stuff. I know I struggle at like keeping like relevancy for topics, but also like on top of that, it like this is like I think I just like I feel like my brain's too fucking like I don't know what I should say like describe it, but like I feel like I just have like too much panic in my head right now to actually talk correctly after that phone call popped up on my phone. I don't know if you guys ever experienced that any. I don't think it's a super common thing, but like something that like makes you feel really uncomfortable just all of a sudden. Obviously, it's a different thing for different people, but like after having family issues, how can I not feel like I'm fucking having a little bit of like trauma from feeling really upset and really angry with them, and also on top of that, like I don't have the best like relationship with them either, so naturally I'm not eager to get into a phone call with them. Great. It's like all my confidence just spilled out after that. Give me a second. I'll try if I can think of anything else I want to talk about right now that's pretty decent to like discuss. I think I can think of one thing that's pretty decent, and hopefully I can remember some other stuff. Yeah, that messed up my train of thought really bad. Okay, here's a fun thing to talk about. You guys have any like particular things you remember about like say game accessories, like stuff you remember back in the day on like console accessories, like say for instance how PlayStation did that, like what was it called, iToy or whatever? That was an interesting thing to see back in the day. Oh, it's alright, I understand if you're like working on something or whatever. I genuinely feel like I just had a fucking bit of like anxiety there that messed with me, and I still haven't completely gotten over it just yet. Like I was saying, I want to talk about like game accessories and console accessories a little bit. iToy was interesting. I remember seeing it back in the day when maybe it wasn't called iToy, whatever the fuck it was named. It was a PlayStation add-on, and like it encouraged you to use this like webcam like thing to play like certain games, and it kind of looked like what Kinect is, sort of, but only like somewhat. Maybe I'm phrasing this wrong. I don't remember it like perfectly. It is interesting and really weird. There were like a whole series of games like developed for this thing. It never really caught on as far as I can tell though, and I watched a video about like this exact thing from like Scott the Waz some time ago, talking about how like they developed only like so many, and they like a lot of them were like really samey and like not that interesting. Like most of these were just really, really stupid points and only used like a little bit of like the actual possibility for this system. All the like commercials regarding like this iToy thing or whatever the fuck it was called, like they all made it out to be like something really cool and interesting, and something that would like really shape up to make the gameplay more fun, like something you could use for better gameplay features. Didn't really look like in like the videos I've seen that was actually the case. That's only one I can think of, but I can think of like a whole bunch of different other things. I've never used like anything on NES or SNES, I don't think. I ever like owned those long enough to use it that way. Like I did have like SNES as one of my first ever consoles, and I still have it, but I also don't recall ever buying an accessory for it even once. I don't know if I can remember any for N64, actually. Like, I know they had a few. Like, remember the story about Donkey Kong 64? I think like Rareware talked about this, like they tried to work around the game and they needed to like they couldn't get it to work completely properly. I think one of the problems is like issues with the game crashing, and then they had like that N64 expansion pack made. I don't know if that was made for like specifically just this. I don't remember the exact reason. It was something like that, and like, let's see, where was I? Oh yeah, they made like an expansion pack or something like that. The game kept crashing, and like they eventually just used the expansion pack to like stop the game from crashing, and apparently it worked. They like bundled it with like every copy of the game to like fix the issue. It was a weird thing to read about, and an interesting like thing that came up with like a what's the right word? Oh yeah, accessory for N64. I don't know if I remember any other like instances where they actually utilized like that expansion for anything though. I just remember being in Donkey Kong 64 actually. What was it? I had another one too, if I could remember. Oh yeah, everybody remember the Rumble Pack? How could I forget the Rumble Pack? Rumble Pack was like probably one of the bigger things that was like, well, actually, yeah, one of the bigger accessories back on like N64, because the fact I don't think any other console manufacturer like did Rumble before Nintendo. I think Nintendo got to Rumble first. It's like it's a small feature, but like kind of crazy how much it's evolved over the years. Oh no. Did we just lose over fucking one attack? Please tell me somebody survived and we're not dead. Oh no. You've got to be shitting me. Please tell me that Dunsparce isn't dead. Okay, it's alive. I'm gonna shut the fuck up right now. I want to talk. I want to talk about like the accessory thing I was talking about and talk about stuff that I have on my mind, but like I don't consider myself to be in the right state while I'm fucking at the edge of a possible loss to fucking sit here and talk, create like a whole lot. Just a whole lot, yeah, excuse me, my words are getting a little bit mixed up because I think I'm nervous now. Please let us go first and kill it. Okay, I think it's killed Dunsparce. Why? We were so close! If we could have got a faster speed roll, we would have won. That one hurt. We did everything right up until the last second, and then fucking Origin Pulse got us. Oh, new shiny Pokemon. We got a Morpeko, cool. I remember seeing this before. It's pretty good looking. Fuck yeah, I'll take it. Not an amazing shiny, but a pretty decent one. Okay, yeah, let's take it. Hell yeah. Just my luck that I'd get stuck again with another Pokemon, and I'm getting more other shinies than I am my target. Not that I care, though. Yeah, let me take a little bit of a resting point. Like I said, I need to get the fucking nervousness out of my system right now. Once I kind of shock myself into being, like, back to my normal self, I can talk fine. I need, like, a 10, maybe 15-minute break at absolute most to get myself back to where I was. Let me just, like, put up my BRB and not only go AFK for a little bit, but I think I need to, like, take just a short little bathroom break, so I'll put the BRB up. We'll be back in just a little bit. See you guys in, like, 10 minutes, maybe, probably not even that long. We'll see, though. Alright, I'm back. Give me a second to take this down. Sorry about that. Seems like the viewer count dropped a little bit. I hate that that happens. It's not like it's a big deal, but like... I don't feel like BRBs are that uncommon on stream, so... I don't know why people left while I was AFK, but whatever. Anyway, let's try to talk some more and try to make things fun while I'm lasting for the last, I don't know, how long we got? About 25 minutes or so. Give me a second. Still drinking a little bit. Okay, I think that's good. Anyway, yeah. We're talking about game accessories, I think. Oh yeah, you know, there's one thing I never actually got that I kind of wish I'd picked up now, and I was talking about game accessories. I mean, a little bit late for it now, but like... I remember hearing a lot about the Super Game Boy back in the day. Like, it's mentioned in a lot of videos. I never actually knew that was a thing until, like, way later. Like, I heard about it in, like, Angry Video Game Nerds. I don't know why, something about playing, like, handheld games on, like, a TV or, like, a console was, like, a really, really really interesting and really, really neat aspect to, like, think about. Like... I always had a lot of interest in it, and I think that's part of why I ended up, like, enjoying the whole thing with the Switch, where the idea is, yeah, you can play it in handheld mode, or you can play it out in docked mode and choose whichever one you want to do. Kind of a nice little feature on it. But, like, before then, I liked the idea of, like, having Game Boy games you could play on the SNES. That was fun. I never used it, unfortunately. I remember they did like a very, very similar thing with the GameCube, and I remember what was it again? I think it's called the Game Boy Player. You had like a little disc and you had to have like a little add-on installed to it.
Really cool little thing, actually. I enjoyed that a lot. That was a fun feature to use. I don't know why. I had something about it just felt right. You plugged in a game you had, put it up on your Game Boy Player, and then boom, sitting there playing on your TV. It's not like they were any different games. I guess it's the fact that they were on the TV. I don't know. I don't know if there's like an easy way to explain what I enjoyed about that. You guys ever felt that when you were younger, like wanted to play your games handheld or whatever on a TV? I liked doing that. I don't know. It was fun. It also, like, it's good for, like, recording stuff, I'd say, too. Like, there's not really a lot of feasible ways to get, like, footage of handheld games, in my opinion. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that. I know there are, like, 3DS capture cards and stuff, and I remember those pretty well. I never got a 3DS capture card. I think I waited too late, and I think I tried some of them, like, homebrew, but it was also the matter of, like, well, I didn't want to fucking install it, and also it didn't really seem to work with, like, trying to record DS games, so I didn't bother with it. I wanted to use it to record 3DS and DS games. Oh, my mouth is bothering me. Oh, sorry about that. I'm curious, what's the best, like, handheld or, like, console games you played? Or you guys can just mention whatever, like, fun games you remember. I remember a lot of Game Boy games would be like a similar version of like what their original release was. Like you'd see like licensed game or whatever like released for Game Boy, and it'd be like a completely different game from the other versions. That was an interesting thing to see. I don't know if that's like a still popular thing at all. Like I don't see it happen anymore, but I know for like a lot of time, I think Nintendo had like this happen some of their systems where their system would get like a completely different version of a game that everybody else was getting. Really, really odd thing in general, but it wasn't bad, just different, very different. Like I think I remember like a SpongeBob game that did this or something, like a Game Boy or Game Boy Advance version. What else was there that I can remember that was something that did this exact same thing? I remember like a lot of examples. There were quite a few though, like a bunch of different games like this. I can't think of anything for that exact reason. I guess because like the technical limitations couldn't make a game that's working on a console work on a handheld quite as easy. It's really impressive that we've gotten our tech so far up, especially with like video games. We can have a handheld. It's also a console now. That was only like a pipe dream so long ago, and now finally here for the first time. I still remember the day the Switch was revealed. That was a magical day. By the way, while we're on that topic, I don't know why I'm having such trouble like keeping and remembering some of these topics. What's everyone's favorite like topics to discuss? Like, not favorite topics. See, I said favorite topics. That's entirely the wrong thing to say. I meant to say favorite game consoles. Just curious. I'd probably have to say a Nintendo console on my part because of the fact I've only really played, like, mostly Nintendo. Not trying to be a fanboy either, it's just the fact that I genuinely didn't get to experience many other series from, like, other game devs, just mostly their stuff. They make good games, I mean, it's not like it's bad. I wish I could have experienced more of the stuff that a lot of people got to play on, like, other consoles, like Spyro and Crash. Nice to have that opportunity. There were a few Spyro games on the Game Boy, weren't there? Remember some that were like 2D games, like they were close to well, there's a 2D. I'd say something I thought were platform. I might be wrong. I might have been remembering the crossover game. I think there were Crash. I don't have word not so poorly right now, but yeah, Crash games where you could like play like a platforming game, and they were like that though. They weren't really the same as the console counterparts. Excuse me. They were just like I feel like they're kind of dumbed down for the DS a little, or not DS, the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance a little bit though. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh man, let's see. Spyro Reignited Trilogy is a fucking treasure. I don't know if people here have played it. I've only played the first game, but playing it. I really, really liked it. I found it to be a fantastic game. Also, I'm sad that everybody's left. I wanted to talk for quite some time, and right when I get back, nobody wants to hang around and chat. That makes me feel depressed just by a little bit. Not like it's too big of a deal, but it sucks to see nobody hanging out when I was ready to talk. But yeah, I like that they remastered all those games, or remade them, and like gave them a new visual upgrade, made them play better, all these things. That was very, very nice. That's part of what I was talking about earlier with the whole collection with like 3D All-Stars. You see a collection that's just like emulated, and it's not really that impressive. It's kind of just like, it's like, okay, you put in some cool stuff here, you did some neat stuff, but like, you could have done more with it. I don't know, maybe it's just me. I feel like this is a little bit on the lacking side. I might be alone in that, though, but that's kind of how I feel about it in general. I don't know. It feels insulting to see this, like, quirk collection with, like, emulation, and I see, like, all these better collections at a very, very decent price. It's lower than what you get on 3D All-Stars. 3D All-Stars felt like it costed too much. It could have been a lot better. I don't know. Could have been a much better collection, in my opinion. What are some good collections you guys remember? Like, there's a lot of them, like, stuff people have put up over the years. Game collections that are really fun to play. If I had to name one that I can think of, I remember, like, that Mega Man Legacy Collection stuff is pretty good. I don't know if I like the X Legacy Collection too that much. I like the first one especially, pretty good. And also, like, the one with, like, 1 through 6 and 7 through 10, those are pretty good. Mega Man's a great series, so having all those Mega Man games, and also I haven't gotten another collection that are on Switch now. It's nice to have all that there, so we can just go back and play it all. Shame it took so long to get it on the Switch, though. I think Capcom was one of the ones who was, like, slow on putting games on the Switch, too. They didn't add a whole lot, and then they ended up getting, like, all these Mega Man games on the Switch. Now we have, like, let's see, how many are there? 11 classic games. We've got 8 that are, like, Mega Man X games, I think, and I guess there's 4 more that are ZX and Zero games. Let's see, how many is that? 4 more, so I guess we're, like, roughly sitting at, alright, no, I did my math wrong. There's 8 X games, yeah. Right, I didn't do it wrong. 11 classics, there's 19. So is it like 24? I might be miscounting a little bit. It's pretty impressive, frankly, like how many Mega Man games we have access to right now, and I'm kind of glad. Also, the Ace Attorney collection looks great, and if that leaked for, like, a Capcom is true, then it's going to be a good year to be a Capcom fan next year, and probably over the next few years, to like all the cool stuff they released for it. I'm not sure if I'd say the collection they released, like, recently, the whole, I say recent, was it 2018, 2019, I don't remember, but it was not that long ago. Like, that collection is like the first 3 games that's been re-released a few times, and they just made it HD. That's a little bit of a collection. It's not bad, though. If we lose again, I'm going to be very, very sad. I don't want to lose. I want to win. For once. Let me have a little bit of good luck on this shiny hunt. Let me fucking beat this fucking whale, please. I know Castlevania did a Castlevania collection, not Capcom, but obviously Konami. I need to consider picking that up. I think most of the games I wanted to play were, like, not stuff I needed a collection for. I've waited and I haven't got it, but I think I might get it at some point soon. I like Castlevania, so I mean, I'd be more than happy to probably buy it and play some of those games. Castlevania is really good, really fun series in my opinion, so I mean, the fact that there's a collection available to play their games on the Switch, it's like, finally, took them fucking forever, even after a Smash announcement. I'm kind of surprised we haven't got a Metal Gear collection either. Metal Gear would have made a lot of sense, actually. Metal Gear is like that big Konami franchise that a lot of people have attachment to, and probably one of their better franchises, so it's like, yeah, why not port that over to the Switch? There was one on the like PS3 and Xbox 360, wasn't there? At least I think there was. I might be misremembering. Could have sworn there was, though. Oh god. Why did we have a person Dynamax a fucking fire Pokemon? That's not really gonna end like a good... doesn't end any good way at this point, I don't think. It's not smart to fucking Dynamax something that's got a goddamn weakness to the boss here. Oh, if we lose this, I'm gonna cry a little bit. Please don't make us lose. Oh no! No, don't die! God damn it! What's going on? Are we done? Did we lose? All I can do is sit back and wait. I'm kind of nervous now. I like Metal Gear. I've never played it very much though, so I can't really weigh on it a lot. How about that collection thing? If they like ported a collection of the games or a new one, like I'd be very, very happy to play it. I remember like a Sonic collection I got on my GameCube a long time ago. I don't remember the name of it. I think it's some anniversary collection. It had like all the 2D games I think on it and some other stuff. It had like Sonic 3D Labyrinth or where the fuck that game was called. That was something I remember playing on it. And are you serious? Don't we have 2 down or we each have 1 down? No, we do have 1 down, but still. Please tell me we're gonna live. Why? Why can't I get a few wins and just fucking call it a day? Why do I have to fucking suffer through losing so much? This guy just fucking took a stupid fucking move of fucking whoring the fucking... and Dynamax. Oh, these people make me want to scream sometimes when I have to deal with these randoms that don't understand what the hell they're doing. At least I got a, like, shiny out of getting a more Pico a minute ago. That was kind of nice. That was, like, the only upside, though. Okay, let's restart again. I'm trying to think. Just give me a second or two. Talked about a lot of topics, too, so... I just don't know. I'm not really sure what all I want to talk about at the moment. What was it? Something I had on my mind. Oh well. Just give me a second or two. I won't need that long to think of anything. Did we bring this up already? I don't remember, probably, but it doesn't hurt, I guess. Like, I was gonna say, hey, what are some games that you guys would like to see remakes of? I'm curious to hear opinions on this. They're usually pretty good and pretty fun to discuss. There's a lot of good game remakes out there, like Final Fantasy VII Remake, the Resident Evil remakes are cool. I also feel like Mario 64 DS was really good. If I had to pick one, I'd say probably Pikmin, maybe Pikmin 2. Those are 2 games I really want to see get remade. Those are really fun. I know it's not likely, but maybe getting a remake of, like, Mario Sunshine would be nice. I mean, we got a collection, though, so I don't expect them to ever remake Mario Sunshine. I feel like that collection was their way of shutting down any potential for that without actually saying anything. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I'd be happy to be proven wrong. That game is good, but it has some serious flaws. That's a fun thing to talk about. Games that do like something creative. Also games that are like really gimmicky. Something I didn't think to talk about now. You guys ever play any games like that that are like really over-reliant on their gimmick? Or they're like too gimmicky and they're not fun as a result? Mario Sunshine, I feel like kind of borders that line a little bit. The flood is an interesting thing to talk about. It's not a bad game mechanic, not terrible. It's like it's designed fairly well, but it doesn't always work the way you need it to. Some of the level design is kind of too. I don't know, I didn't find myself falling head over heels for it when I was playing it and enjoying and loving every moment of me using it. It was quite frustrating. And don't get me started on blue coins. Blue coins are a fucking mess that really shouldn't have been in the game. They don't have a proper tracking method, which kind of made them feel not that great in my opinion. I don't know, they just weren't that interesting, and they felt like they were an afterthought shoved onto the game. You have like a way to look at like how many you've got total in an area and not like see which ones you're missing. It's just handled really poorly. Also, I think the turbo nozzle in Mario Sunshine is used like a total of one single time, and that's it. I don't recall ever using it again after like one or two missions. I don't know. The game was good, but it could have been better. I feel like the pachinko level's not very fun. Same with the like Poison River level. Those are like both really, really bad in my opinion. Those could have been like significantly better as levels. Sunshine had a lot of cool things it explored, but I feel like Sunshine was one of those games that tried too many things that didn't stick to its guns and do anything super amazingly. I don't think there's any others I can remember. I don't really hate it. I was gonna say, like, DK64 has some problems when it comes to, like, having too many characters as well. DK64, like, constantly swaps your Pokemon. I say Pokemon. See, you like swapping characters to, like, collect so much shit, and there's a lot there, and that can get a little bit frustrating, like, doing that over and over again. That's not a great thing to have to put up with in the game, in my opinion. Could have been better if you didn't sit there, like, constantly needing to swap. I think somebody made a mod for DK64 where the whole thing was like redone. You could actually go and like swap Kongs on the go with like a button press. That's actually a pretty good mod in my opinion. Like, DK64 is I hate to lump it in as a gimmicky game, but it kind of is. Like, it had only the too many Kongs, which wasn't bad. It could have been worked out to be a little better, but like they had too many collectibles at some point. Even though it's a good game, they had a bunch of mini games that some of them were fun, some of them were kind of lame, and then like every character had like a different gimmick you had to get used to, and like several different mechanics that you had to use. Like they had different guns or whatever, which isn't bad, but it adds up to be a lot and kind of a headache when you're like trying to remember all this shit for the sake of like playing through the game. I don't know. Are you serious? I had needed the Pokemon because mine was dying and these guys fucking stole it from me. Whatever. At this point, it just doesn't matter. I'm gonna get stuck with these people who don't seem to care about actually playing decently to win. Can't get a group that cares about fucking letting me live. Then we lose to Kyogre and everybody wonders why. I don't know. I'm kind of surprised they never made another 3D DK game. We got kind of close with like some cool stuff. I feel like Jungle Beat was kind of bordering on that a little bit, but like, what happened to like some of these series ever getting like 3D? Maybe they weren't intended to in the first place, but like Donkey Kong got a 3D game and then it never got another 3D game. I've heard a lot about potentially getting a Kirby game in 3D too. Also, Yoshi would be a fun transition. Not everything needs the 3D, but like, there could be good use if they tried with it. Like, I mean, look at how they handled Yoshi's Crafted World. The game was practically in 3D already. It wasn't the best gameplay, but it looked pretty good. Felt alright to play. I feel like in 3D it would have worked out just fine. Also, there was something in Mario Odyssey that, like, also lends me to believe a 3D Yoshi would be good. You get to like the Mushroom Kingdom stuff, and there's actually like a Yoshi you can unlock and use your Cappy on. You can control him, and I feel like they're like, that's a pretty fun thing there. That you get to see Yoshi play in a 3D environment, and I think there's only been like one other instance of like playing Galaxy. It felt more like you're playing as Galaxy 2, excuse me, but like it felt like you're actually controlling and playing as the Yoshi itself in Odyssey, which was cool. I'd love to see what they could do with like an actual 3D Yoshi title. I bet it'd be a lot of fun. Sure, it'd be really good. I guess they technically have made a 3D Kirby. They did that Blowout Bash or whatever the hell it was called. That game, I I've not played it. I've been meaning to. I think I have it on my 3DS, and I'm gonna have to look into that, see if it's any good, but I get some time, see if I enjoy it or not. Let you guys know if I find myself having a good time with it or not. It certainly seems like a good game, though. It seems like it's a lot of fun. Oh boy, are we gonna be able to beat this thing without losing anybody? I feel like I was nearly gonna die, and I don't know if we're gonna beat it or not. Death, because this thing's only has to hit me once. All because my teammates took my chance at another Pokemon swap. Oh, thank God. We were lucky this thing didn't decide to target Dusclops at any point. Speaking of 3D games, what are some bad ones you guys remember? Just bad games in general. We can talk about bad mascot games, whatever. I think everybody remembers Bubsy. Bubsy is like the go-to 3D game that was like really trashy. I remember Donkey making a video on it, like parodying it, and like I think JonTron made the first video on it. Maybe I'm wrong. That game looks so poorly done. Like, I don't know. Was that game planned very well? Because, God, the 3D was kind of... It looks like it was like a hard-to-control game. Fuck you, dude. You didn't need that Pokemon. I was in the middle of fucking needing a swap, and you fucking stole it from me. Great. We could have had an electric Pokemon and had the grass Pokemon. This dude fucking decided that instead of doing something good, he would fucking rob me. I hate this part of online. It's like, just because you want to take a Pokemon doesn't mean you need to, like, steal the next available Pokemon. Ugh. Let's see, though. Speaking of 3D games, like, how was that Billy Hatcher game? I think some people that are in my community, like, I've heard at least one person I know in my community that's played it. One of my friends has, at least. I've never really checked it out. I just know, like, a little bit about, like, what I've seen of it prior to this. Like, I watched, like, a Let's Play for a little bit, and I think I saw, like, some footage of him, like, going, "Good mornings," weird, or, like, voice clip. Also, on top of that, like, gameplay looks weird. The whole moving around and... Yeah, you go around and, like, roll around like a giant egg, I think. That's something I remember from Billy Hatcher. Also, if I'm going to swap on the next turn, I'm going to be very, very angry at this group. We could have probably had a much safer transition to making it to the boss fight. And somebody not hoard the Pokemon I needed. Now we're at a fucking very, very scary spot with a very, very easy death. I don't like it. I like talking about Sega's games, actually. I guess we can do that for a little bit. I need to play some of those. I want to. How's that Space Channel 5 game, if anybody's played it? It looks pretty fun. I don't know if it's good or not. It was a Dreamcast game. It looks very, very different from what I'm used to seeing from Sega, though. But it looked like it was a neat experience to play through. This is not going well. We need to fucking get more health back. This guy could have probably used Horn Leech like twice over, and he hasn't. Well, I think he might only have like 5. Anyway, like I was saying, Space Channel 5 looks good. Same with that Jet Set Radio game. I hear a lot of good things about Jet Set Radio. The vibe from it is really, really cool. I think it's a good-looking game. I'd like to try it out one day. Definitely something that Sega's produced that I have a lot of interest in. Like a lot of other Dreamcast titles. Like, I hear about a lot of them. One I hear, like, a lot about, I think, is, like, I see people talk about Crazy Taxi. I've looked up some, like, gameplay of it before. I don't know if I like the look of it. Maybe it's better when you play it. It just seems like you're just, like, driving around and, like, giving you a little lift like a taxi driver would, but, like, the whole time limit thing just looks like it'd be very, very, in my opinion, like, anxiety-inducing. I don't know, if anybody here wants to, like, discuss it and talk about how or why they like it, then feel free to, though. I'm kind of worried right now. I think we're not going to be able to beat this thing easily enough unless Maybe. If we can not die here, that'd be good. Please, nobody die. Alright, I had a thing I wanted to talk about, and I just lost my train of thought on, too. Oh, thank God. We got by without a kill. That was a fucking miracle. I don't remember what I was going to say, and it was related to something similar to Crazy Taxi, I think. It's not a big deal, though. I have to do a stream where we do, like, a bunch of, like, this kind of stuff. Try playing some games I missed out on. See exactly what all fun stuff there is to play on an older console. I think I'd like that. I don't know if you guys would be interested in it. Oh, I got one more thing I can think of to talk about for a little bit. I'm sorry my commentary isn't the best right now, and I've got like a... This is something that just occurred to me to bring up. Like, what's everyone's favorite Final Fantasy game? Because, like, I feel like I'm having a little bit of trouble thinking of new things to talk about, but not too much. Just not the easiest this time thinking of stuff. I hear a lot of praise for Final Fantasy VII. In fact, several people who are in my chat board, like, told me that Final Fantasy VII is a really good title, and I don't know about the remake. I hear it's pretty decent, too. Like, I've been thinking about playing that game. I haven't picked it up on my Switch. I've seen, like, a lot of different Final Fantasy games that are on the Switch, and I also want to try out some of the older ones at some point. I don't know. Final Fantasy VII's been one of those... Final Fantasy has been, like, one of those series that always intrigued me. I've liked RPGs for a long time, and I'm really weirdly, like, I play a lot, but I'm kind of picky on what I play every now and then. I don't know why. Like, I need to experience more of them. I want to play Persona, I want to try out the Shin Megami Tensei stuff. I haven't tried out Final Fantasy. I missed out on a lot of those experiences, and I feel like I'd like to actually play some of those RPGs, see what they're like. In fact, like, especially when it comes to Final Fantasy, though, because Final Fantasy is, like, best known an RPG series out there as far as I can tell. Also, do we really have someone who was enough of a dumbass to fucking waste the fucking Dynamax immediately? Whatever, though. Maybe we can still beat this even with the fucking waste here. How are we doing on our KOs? I think we're at 14. If we get this one. Yeah, we seem to be at 13 right now. Okay, we gotta beat it again. Sorry if this stream has been a little bit lackluster and not perfect. I know I need to improve things a little bit. I do enjoy the streaming, though. I think it's a good time, frankly. I wonder what Final Fantasy is the best story. I mean, I guess it's all subjective since they're all, like, different universes. I don't know which one I want to experience first when I ever get around to it. I think I want to play 4 at some point, though. 4 seems like a good one. It'd probably be a fun time to stream, too. Everybody praises Final Fantasy 4, saying it's like a really great RPG. Excuse me. Wow, okay. Fucking the low chance of paralysis affected one of our Pokemon. That's a shock. We gotta do this. We got, like, 1 turn. We haven't had any deaths yet. Come on, we can totally kill it, right? If there's one that caught my eye, actually, I think I saw my friend play, like, a game where it was, like, a mystery dungeon-like thing with, like, a chocobo, because I've checked out the Mystery Dungeon series, and I've had, like, passing interest in those games. I feel like I would enjoy playing them. I'm about to play that. I don't know. I was a big fan of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon back in the day. I didn't play it more than, like, 2 to 3 entries at most, though, but I had a lot of fun playing it, frankly, so yeah, it was a good experience. It was enjoyable. Very, very unique, very, very fun little game series to mess around with. I think there's one coming to the Switch, not Final Fantasy, but like a particular mystery dungeon, Shinin the Wandering, or whatever it's called. Let me see if I can find it. Shirin the Wanderer. I think that's it. Let me see if I'm right about this. Yeah, that's it. It's a mystery dungeon styled game, pretty much. I like a mystery dungeon. It's a pretty decent series. I only played, like, really the Pokemon mystery dungeon, I think, and not any of the other stuff there. Wait, what was that? I didn't see that. That was like a normal or not. I sped through it too quickly. Let me see. Moment of truth. Let's check it again. Oh god, yeah, it's here! Holy shit! Last second! I thought I wasn't gonna get it. I was getting a little worried too, and also on top of that, like, just the fact this is the final one we did today, that could not have ended any better. I'm glad. I wanted to end this on a good note. Okay, right. Considering we got it, I'm gonna take it, but I mean, let me get another screenshot of it or two. There's one, and then let's do one here too. Finally! That was only at 14. Struggled quite a bit with it, and I was worried it was gonna start turning out like Kyogre, or turning out like Groudon and get really bad, but here we are! Fuck yeah! I'll take it. Alright, I'm gonna have to, like, set up my next counter later and get this fixed up and ready, but okay, we did that like right when I was ready to close out and stop, actually. So that's a good stopping point. We'll take care to end it here and make sure we're ready for the next session, but like, goddamn, man. Gorgeous, I love it. Very, very pretty, shiny there. Finally, and that was the quickest one we've done so far. 3 shinies today. After getting 3 shinies on the Groudon hunt. Actually, 3 on that same day I got the Groudon, excuse me. Like, I didn't expect a thing like this. We got a Xatu, we got a fucking and Kyogre, and we also got that Morpeko. Let me just check them all. There's our first new guy. Or not, second, I think, actually. Yeah, this one. Kyogre. Where's the other? Let's see, where is he? Oh, he's over in the space here, isn't he? You double check him. I think he's shiny, though, like I said. Yeah, shiny. All these. Fuck yeah, I'll take it. I wonder if there's a way I can potentially, like, put both this and the Kyogre in my profile. Or not profile, excuse me, in my thumbnail picture. That'd be a lot of fun. But oh my god, I'm so glad I was worried all my shiny hunts in this were going to take forever. The first, like, Dynamax Adventures that I did, that, like, trying to get a shiny legendary, it took me ages to get my hands on, and, like, the shiny legendary I wanted. Now, after all this, we finally got my hands on Kyogre in, like, such a short period of time. It makes me proud. I'm sorry I'm, like, resaving and, like, not actually focus. It's like, I think I'm a little worried that I'm gonna fucking forget to save if I don't. Okay, yeah, let's save the game and stop here. Okay, cool. We're done today. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. We got shiny Kyogre. That was, like, the highlight of this whole fucking stream. I'm glad I managed to make that happen. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. I'll stream again sometime soon. I hope things were okay. I genuinely feel like things may have not been as good as they could have been, but I mean, it looks like things ended out going pretty well, so I'm satisfied with the way it ended. Like I said, hope you all have a great day or night, and I'll see you guys in the future sometime soon. Probably on Tuesday or something. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, bye. Take care, everybody.